constructed to access and master the creative, powerful force of the mind. Right? Then we have to ask, if we are the highest form of existence from the infinite mind, why do we need to create ourselves in order to access and master the creative, powerful force of that same mind? Because creating ourselves, wouldn't that be a test of it? So it's still awkward. You see the awkwardness here? Right? And then he said, the force of the mind by taking thought and manifesting it in the physical. But wasn't thought already used to make the Supreme Being? Yeah, I'm deliberately putting the answer and putting you into a circle, like where you get into a circle, so that way you learn to simplify it, but also get deeper into it. You know what I mean? Because we say stuff like this, though, and I think, I'm not saying you, certainly not you. I don't know how you're building, how you're outside, but a lot of times we have very deep builds, and we don't have enough simpler builds for the man on the street, the kid on the street. And then the deeper builds, we don't know how to take the deeper build and show how that connects to the simple build. So even when we have both builds, we don't really have the connective tissue. And so they seem very separate. So we hear God build, and he's like, oh, I understand why the black man is God. That was simply put, I get it. Then we hear this high level shit, and we're like, how does that connect to the other part? And now we're confused again. See? So the mind was always here. The mind creates. This is why I said, look, people walk in my classroom, I draw a human, which is us, though. I'd like to say it was us. It's drawn horribly, so I have to say it's human. This little stick figure, and I draw the universe, a circle around him. That's all of the universe, though. And it's the circle is just symbolic because the circle's inside something, right, on that blackboard, so it wouldn't be the whole universe, but let's just say. And it's simply put, the creator is in his own creation, creating creation. That the reality of our existence is creating. And that the Supreme Being creates and creates themselves anew endlessly and infinitely. Right? And now we can break down stuff. But JB, you have your thesis there. And that's where you start from. Right? But, King, you asked if it goes back to the infinite mind, what if someone has, what is considered the infinite mind where it all starts? Many have said the universe. Right. But that's the thing, though. The mind is something that is abstract and is not a physical thing. That's why we created ourselves into a physical reality. You see? So there is no evidence of the physical reality. That's not how the mind plane is. The mind is not a physical reality in the way that we see it now. That's why we manifested it into this physical reality. Because the Supreme Being, the true and living God, masters all realms and must exist in all realms that are thought of, created, and expounded on. That even answers some of why even the devil exists, right? We technically say that even if there wasn't this issue that led Yaqub to manifest the devil, this idea of separation, that things have to get created anyway, right? But it's a slippery slope there, right? That things have to be created just because they're thought of, right? That's also a slippery slope.
So have you ever heard like the mind being slowed down? Like matter is the slowed down version of the mind?
Yes, I have. Yes. Yeah.
So like, you know, the mind travels at the speed of light or faster.
Right.
But then it slows itself down to manifest itself as invisible reality.
Yeah. You know, I heard that. I forgot where I heard that as well. It might have been a book I was reading or something like that. Might have been that book I started, that Infinite Mind told me about, placebo effect. But it's just interesting. It's very interesting. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna leave it there. There was a brother that was looking for knowledge himself, and he was trying to get me to teach him through the internet and stuff like that. And I was like, "Where are you at?" And he was like, "Queens," and I was like,
Oh, come on.
There's so many people I'm teaching that aren't even near us, you know, and you want me to teach you, yeah, you know, and I'm like, when I got knowledge of stuff, I was living like 2 hours away from here. I was in Sunset Park, you know what I'm saying, in Medina, and I was taking the D, the R, everything all the way up here, you know what I mean? So yeah, you know, and I came from Staten Island to come here, so.
What's your excuse?
Yeah, so we could do that travel, you know what I mean? Like, we could do that travel, you know? It's good for you, though, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, people don't do the travel that they used to, you know what I mean? Like,
You think the internet has contributed to the
I think so, like, they think they can learn everything at the comfort of their own home, you know? Like, me and the gods, we learned Kung Fu for free. Bobby taught us for free. Man, I would have traveled 3 hours to get a free teaching. It's free. You know what I mean?
So come get it.
Yeah, like, that was all I had to do was go get it, and it was like it's incredible to me, incredible, you know. But
yeah, there's the same thing. There's a brother that's from PA reached out to me and was telling me about learning online. He bought all these books and said, "This is not how it's done. It's not done."
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
You gotta come.
People are doing that now. Yeah, and every book that is worthy is telling you to come here.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Like travel, like you got it.
Yeah, travel, find somebody, you know.
Travel,
and then even the God, oh man, the God, what's it? I forgot the name of his site. On the Instagram, he got the guy from Detroit. What's?
So Mr. Freedom.
Yeah, Minister Freedom. He's doing he's finding people in everybody's area too, which he doesn't have to do. You know what I mean? Like. Right? So, like...
5% connection.
Yeah, 5% connection. Because I feel like we've really lost touch in connecting and finding people. Because it's hard to find people when they're inside the house. You know what I mean? Right? Unless we start doing Watchtower. You know what I mean?
Right.
Start knocking on people's doors, though. Right?
Proselytizing.
Yeah, you know? Right. That's it. Yeah, Harmony, they don't follow up. You know what I mean? Well, if they DM you, yeah, see, they're trying to kick it, then they... You send them to a god and then they don't want to follow up. Yeah, that's funny. But they definitely lazy, guy. That's crazy what you sent me in that email this motherfucker sent you though.
Yeah, so this is interesting times that we're living in, you know.
Very
and I know you got that because of that you have stepped into the realm of being an artist.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. You know, because I have spent over half my life teaching here at the school. Like that, I could say that now. I've spent over half my life in this school. You know what I'm saying? Teaching here, being taught how to teach here and everything. You know, like when people learned this knowledge and they left, I was coming back. Like I would come back here specifically to meet with Savior Knowledge or meet with Knowledge Me. And not to go through degrees, but to go through how do you teach here? Like what are you going to do? You know? And that's where, like, I would say, I think I'm going to have and I think my way, you know? So, like, I think I'll have a curriculum and stuff like that. So, well, you got to write it, God. Let me see it. And I had to show them. Even though they didn't deal with curriculum like that. You know?
No, you didn't deal with curriculum.
No, he didn't. You know, he didn't give out a syllabus or anything like that, you know? Right? Who did? Like, right?
I can't think of anybody.
Yeah. You know, but during those years, like a lot of people don't know, like when I started to teach and stuff, and it really became a thing. Like this is the way I do it, and it was accepted by many. I remember firstborn Al Jamel would come, and he was trying to come back and teach. He just never got healthy enough. He was trying to teach again too, and he wanted me, and I gave him all of my curriculum because he wanted to do something like that, and he never really got to do it though. You know, but I would have loved to see it though. But so I feel like it is me. This may not be like what I had to do or anything, but this is the way I feel. When I feel like I was taught to represent the school, peace God, right? And to represent it in such a way that, like, even if I'm doing stuff in hip hop and stuff, people are gonna know that integrity. That even if I write about music or stuff like that, it's not gonna be biased toward this or that, right? But I would always represent what this was about and not manipulate and shit. So there would be a great artist though, but he was saying some bullshit. I still would have to confront him. You know what I mean? And ask him about this. You know what I mean? if he says some dumbass lyrics though, right? Because you can make a great record and say something stupid. That happens every day, right? But I did expect that when I became an artist though, that I would get very little press though, because no matter whether I was good or bad, I was always doing things for other artists though, but not necessarily for other media. You know what I mean? So I had one person that's in media say that they, that's what every journalist wants to do. They want to make records, which I don't agree with though.
You don't agree with it?
I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because until
a lot of them do.
Yeah, until even when I made the records though, I wasn't like, this is the dream and stuff like that. This is like in other words, I wasn't like, fuck it, everything else I ever did, this is what it was all about, and it's not really.
You're already an artist in your own right, as a writer.
Right,
and that was
the whole point. Yeah, so, and no matter how much I wrote about music, I never wanted to be an entertainer. So that was always the problem, though. I didn't want to just be about entertaining people. So I do enjoy making music because people they don't see me as an entertainer. Like, they just look at me and I have to entertain them somehow. You know what I mean? Like, I always hated that concept. You know what I mean? I wanted to be noted for...
Sambo or something like
that? That's how it felt to me. To me. So so I didn't want to, I always want to be respected for the quality of what I'm saying, as opposed to, just the entertaining aspect of it, though. You know what I mean? Even though when you make art and stuff, you want to be respected as an artist, though. I always wanted to be respected as a poet, as a creative writer, as a clever essayist. You know what I mean?
Creator.
Right? Yeah. Always. So it's been great. You know what I mean? But in making the work, it's interesting how some people still will pigeonhole, and it's not unlike, it's very similar to when I started to teach here. For some reason, everybody was defining me, because it was Dave Sun who named the class, and he was the one that said, we could do it this time. And he's the one that figured out the time. I said, what time's good? And I said, I do it Thursday, because my full-time job at the time, I was at a publishing firm that only was Monday through Thursday. So they did longer days, so you had no Friday, I said, Thursday, man, because if I could teach all night, and you could, that's how Thursdays started, and we did it like that, but we got a lot of backlash. And so saying that we were a writing class was kind of like a lot of older guards thought and kept it like that in their head. Like we're not good enough, or in this case, I'm not good enough to be teaching a civilization class, And I didn't take offense to that though, because when I go home, when I go home after every Thursday class, I think more of as a restart to really get in gear with what I don't know. More reading, more writing, more, you know what I'm saying? I don't think like, listen, I proved that, now I know, it's not Breakfast Club at the end, I just, I did it, and and so when people say that, I don't really think about that, but it was incorrect to just define us that way. It's kind of the same way now when I make the record though. People say, well, he's a writer, and I see it more as a they'll say spoken word or something like that. You know what I mean? But clearly, I know writing though. Right. The stuff I'm doing, it's not spoken word. It's not spoken word. It's not being chanted. It's not. It's not being done in that tempo. It's all rhyming, and whether I stumble on it or not, though, it's intended to be in the pocket, though. So I'm taking a challenge. It's not spoken word. Some of the songs in the first album probably were like that, because that's the only pocket that I could envision, or the way to be in it was that way. But as I went along, especially with King Come On, like he's such a veteran with the shit that it's kind of like I imagine like people playing with curry and shit. Now you start thinking you could shoot threes and shit. You know what I mean? But I would think that a lot of the songs I was more like Jordan Poole You know, like last year when he was with Curry. You know, I might make some shots and everything like that, but some of them look crazy. You know, some crazy moves and shit on threes and shit that might go in and everything like that. But I don't have the command of like King Curry. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. But
but you're getting there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
So I feel more comfortable in writing sometimes. You know what I mean? Especially with what we did and what we have, what I already did that's gonna come out. You know?
I mean, you put out a lot more. You have a bigger output of material than a lot of people.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so this is your third.
That's crazy.
Your third. It's just,
yeah,
I'm still trying to catch up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so he's like, wow, like, oh,
yeah, and you can hear if you listen to the first 3 albums, it sounds like years of progression. It sounds like years of progression when you hear the first one, second one, the third one, and it's really. I didn't write any of this stuff. I started writing this November of 2022. None of this stuff is really. And like I said, I wrote in the book, the Mantras lyric book for the first album. I never wrote a rhyme before. I never wrote rhymes. I only got into hip hop music because as a kid I just did b-boying. I didn't listen to the music. I just wanted to dance to it. And in junior high, middle school, I didn't listen to music like that. You know, I didn't care about music. I only cared about sports. And then in high school, when I got really obsessed with hip hop, like really loving it, like I'm collecting now, I'm making pause tapes and obsessed with it. It's brand new to me. So why would I think of writing a rap though? I just want to hear it. I don't want to make my own shit. I want to hear what he said. You know, like if I started collecting for real in 19, which should be crazy for kids nowadays that love hip hop. If I started collecting actual albums as a young teenager when I'm 14, like really collecting albums, that's when I buy my first albums. Like everything's pause tapes before. Then that means that I could be buying a great album that came out, but I could also be going back and getting a great one. You know, so why would I be trying to write something? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going back to hear KRS-One albums in full.
But I think now it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more leniency for, I guess, would you say, experimentation. Like you can
I think so. Yeah.
Because back then it was like
before I was making. It sounds bougie now because I make music, but when I was writing about it, you know, I always said this, but artists now are more sloppy. You know what I'm saying? They're more sloppy. So if they feel like it was worthwhile enough, they'll throw it out there. You know what I mean? And that includes good artists, though. There's a lot of stuff that should have been left on the drawing board, but they'll throw it out there. You know? And they develop along the way as well. You know? And people like that. They're obsessed with getting more and more content. And a lot of that is people, too. You know? And the way that the media over the years did interviews, though. They never did interviews without... The most important question was always, well, what do you have coming for us?
Yeah, so and that's what I'm saying. Like
I'm here for the one I just did. Why would I?
Right, know? That's the sign of the time.
Yeah,
like
Why is the
microwave.
Why is the next thing you're gonna consume the most important thing to speak about? You know what I mean? Like with King, you know, we're just making things, having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? We're just making things to have fun with it, and what makes it faster for me is not because of my skill level. Felt like a slower process, even though it seems faster. It's more so because I write a lot. So I have lots of ideas, though, and it's very fast to tap in, you know? I have a lot of vocabulary, God, so it's easy to write rhymes, though. It's easy to think of rhymes, you know? Right? It's easy to manipulate stuff and even do it in a way where it sounds different in hip-hop because I have everything. You know, my collection is massive. It's massive. And if I want something that says, I can say something that isn't said today because I could check to see if it was said, you know? Like, you know, and there's a lot of stuff I scrap, you know? And the way that I write, I don't really like using similes and things like that. I don't use similes much, you know? Like, if I use a simile, it's very rare, you know what I mean?
Well, God, I mean, do you think being an artist now, like, you're a target now? Like, do you think it makes you a target? You know,
I don't know. I think I'll see, you know, at the end of the month in December, DJ Toshi has his Classic Storm Radio anniversary. Obviously, I'm the host, so I have, of the actual show, so I have to go, of the podcast, so I have to go celebrate the show. And I don't know, I haven't been around other rappers and shit, you know what I mean? The only other rappers there's a whole bunch of MCs, but they all give me love, or they don't say anything, and I haven't seen any like dark tweets, like.
No, but that email that was
yeah,
pretty dark.
That was crazy.
That's dark. See, I didn't expect it to come that way, but
yeah, that's a whole issue. I'll explain it though, because it has to do with this knowledge. It has to do with everything, and I think it's a profound story that it's not really new to me. It just blending both worlds that I'm in is what's new. Kinda. Because I'm an artist, but like.
Yeah, but I see because somebody coming here really to advance their rap career.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That people want to come to
now. There's been people that I've built with in the classroom that haven't really come back, but I still see them in the art world, the cipher, and it's P.E.A.C.E. P.E.A.C.E. You know what I mean? And because they know how real it was, and they know that they shouldn't. You know what I mean? And they're gonna learn it as they go along, or when they're ready. And for us, we know who won't. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And it's okay. I think if it draws them to be more focused toward also having integrity with everything they do, then we did our job in that respect. You know what I mean? But this has to do with something that a lot of people don't understand that goes on with us when we teach. When we have a failed student, when we have a failed student, a lot of people think they have experiences of failed students when they try to teach them and they don't give a shit. Believe in Jesus Christ, whatever like that. Or all of a sudden they go back to the church, right? Which happens, right? I think I had a student, I'm not sure who it was. I'm pretty sure he was my student. And I saw him writing some stuff about, I studied all this stuff. Like he didn't say this, but a lot of stuff. And I know he probably was thinking of me or what I share with him, but Jesus Christ is the Savior and this and that, and but because he was friends with a lot of gods on the Facebook, they were going at him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And when he texts me, DM me about something, he didn't even mention that. He's like, peace, God, this and that. He didn't even mention that he's into Jesus Christ. And I saw it in the Facebook, but then he DMs me on the Instagram. I let it go because what he decides to do in life, though, is not really my concern like that. Right? I shared things, though, but they were never under the study where they said, I'm going to be the God and go do 120 and stuff like that. There are many, many people that you teach, though, especially in the classroom, that are of the population. That's how we teach here in the school. We share it. Right? And this particular individual emailed me. That's how they first, right? He emailed me. He says, I'm this such and such. I go by the name. And I'm going to say his name because I don't, I want him to be defiled like that. And he goes, I rhyme by the name of Sam Hill. And,
You say you want him to be defiled?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And I'll explain why. Because usually with failed students, I just let them go, even if I have to bomb them. I've kicked many people out of this classroom, And so I said, that's peace. Why don't you come through? It's not just, he's telling me, I want to be a rapper that, I want to up my rap game and this and that, so he's linking it with the whole thing, And the time that you had met him, he was doing the same thing when he was talking to you, right? So I said, come here. This is about this. It's not about that and the other, right? It's not about that. I said that in emails. But I said, I'm also here every time. So you could come here and you could learn. Everybody is welcome, So he comes through and I make that born again. Like, listen, however you rhyme, and I heard some of the songs, you're okay, you got some stuff. I didn't know his story as far as that goes. But I try to get his story about the knowledge. He said some stuff about, he thought you had to pay to get in here and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Which is, dubious, whatever. I hear all types of reasons.
Right,
So I don't need to to verify everybody's reasoning. No, you're here now, learn. But he's grown already. He's a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, listen, I do this. There are other teachers that kick out old people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Dark Kim's screening process is much more vicious than mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And others as well. They're like, this is for the you've been there. Like there are elders that used to go, this is for the young, and you too old to get this now.
Right.
And they gotta go. You know what I mean? I don't do that because I try to find worth in everyone, and see if they can teach it to someone else and things like that, right? And learn more about them. You know what I mean? And because it's happened in a good way before too.
Teaching civilization.
Yeah,
Day,
and other older people I've taught it to other people, and some to their kids, some to other people, that strangers, so I think it's valid. So I gave him a shot and I said, listen, I'm not going to hold your hand. You've got to be diligent with this, and I'm going to give you Supreme Math and this plus lesson I wrote on the Supreme Math, so you to ask questions, learn a little of the history, memorize this. Now, in the beginning, memorizing Supreme Math, that's like a very easy task to memorize. 1 is Nas, 2 is Wisdom, right? To 0 is Cipher, right? But after every time, like, we build and everything like that, and the class is over or it's nearing its end, we go into hip-hop, we talk about hip-hop, it's cool. He has to tell a story, though, how he was supposed to be with Ralph McDaniels, and Ralph McDaniels screwed him, this and that, right?
That story too.
Again and again and again, So much so that he's giving this story to every new student that's here and stuff like that. And, and I'm telling him, like, listen.
And just for the record, I don't know Ralph to be that way. Not to say that it didn't happen, but
right.
I know Ralph,
and the same for me.
I don't know him to be like
as
that.
Far as, like, the 26 years I've been in this store, I never heard things like that about Ralph. Never. And I hear all types of shit. I hear all types of things, and let alone whether I find truth or not. But I never even heard stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I said, after a while, it would be overbearing, and I said, listen, and I would tell him, what about MF Doom? Went through so much trials and tribulations, though, but he didn't just cry about the record labels that dropped him and his brother and stuff, right? He came back independently, and that's the whole symbolism of Doom, like the revenge of Dr. Doom, against Fantastic Four. Like, that's the whole imagery, and he became a cult figure. Like, he's a cult figure. He's a cult legend, Right? And deservedly so. He's a legend. I love Doom. I'm a big fan. You know what I mean?
Not everybody has that kind of chops to do that.
No. But in the spirit of it, though, anyone can make music and feel vindicated that it didn't stop me from making music. You know what I mean? I think that would be like the point of it, because it's unfair to say be like Doom and achieve like Doom, because his talent was otherworldly. You know what I mean? Like, his talents are otherworldly.
Yeah, I mean, the impression I got from this individual was it was a bit tired.
Yeah. And we've seen that, drained humans, you know what I'm saying? Drained of life. Your past few days. And I feel like us as black and brown people in this society, we see it more because it happens to people when they're younger, I can tell you how many times I've been around people that they're of college age, but because they didn't make it to the NBA or didn't reach those next levels, no Division I, they move like their life is over, you know what I mean? And this is something that's taught to us, though. You know what I mean? That's taught to us to be like that. You know what I mean? And forget if he blows up or something. I was like, if you love it, though, don't let anybody stop you from making it, creating it, because the creating in one level can spark you to be creative in all the other levels. Find solutions. That's the whole point. The whole point you put children in sports or other things and creative efforts is they may not be the next Miles Davis or the next Jordan, right? But they learn how to build with other teammates. They learn how to make creative things together, like in a band, you're making creative things together. When you make music together, whether it's even hip hop, right? You're making it together. You know what I'm saying? You're learning how to
collaborative thing.
Right. You're learning how to build with people. You know what I'm saying? Even if you just write by yourself, you're learning how to create though, just for the sake of it. And this leads you to be a better problem solver, because if you practice creation, you're also practicing for the real life of creating your own way, right? Because creating solutions is also an aspect of creation, right? So went through all that, but then after a while, I soured and I wasn't saying much, but it was like maybe 2, 3, and I said I had a couple of students,
Soured? You said,
maybe soured toward him and was very hard on him.
Because
It was about 2 months in, and I had another student, and it was a young God, but I said, God, what's today's math? And he didn't get it. He didn't know today's math, so he didn't know today's date, and he couldn't quote like math, and I didn't even ask for a build on mathematics, but and I'm like, yo, after, what are you doing though?
right. So
You
the,
know?
the intention.
And it's
wasn't-
like, oh, well, soon as you didn't send me this book, see this, that. I sent you math though, so what little I sent you, you should, you know what I mean? And every single class, whether it was online or when I had no online, I always used to go, if you text me or I don't answer back, or if you email me and I don't answer back, forward it back to me. Put it on top of the pile again. You know what I mean? Get me paying attention to it again. And so there's no excuse though. And being an older person though, I'm not gonna be here and like, oh, I'll call you later or we'll go through it so you get it properly. I'm not doing that.
That would be.
I got younger students that I'm doing that with. I'm not doing that with you. If you're 14 or something, I'll do it. 15. You know what I'm saying?
40 plus.
Yeah, not late 40s. Not 30s either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, late 20s, really. Like,
And in the 20s, I start getting harsh. You know what I mean? Like if you're in your late 20s, I start getting harsh. You know what I mean? And which kind of like 20s is a new teens, right? So shit, But so what happened is that I said this, right? I told him, listen, you keep talking about this Ralph stuff and you're getting mad that a lot of other brothers and a lot of other gods I've taught, and a lot of other gods, they give you hassle because they always tell you to stop living in the past and this and that. And I said, listen, it all boils down to the negativity versus positivity. And you come in this cipher talking about your negativity. You know what I'm saying? You're talking with a victim mentality. There are people that are really victims though, and we've all been victimized. But one thing that is different from 5% is that we don't really talk like victims. We don't move like victims.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We talk like people that are creating realities while encountering challenges.
Right.
So we don't talk about victimization. We take it as it's a tougher challenge now. It's more love hell, right? It's more hell. The work. The hell is the work, not hell's being imposed. Oh, woe is me. So I said, listen, you have one assignment because you're not sharp with this. You got to get sharp. You have one major assignment aside from memorizing this damn alphabet, right? Do not address me with any negativity. I didn't tell him not to talk about that. I told him, don't address me with any negativity. Let's only speak positively. What are we building? What are we doing? How are we working? Right?
But he wants to hold on to his pain.
Right. So I had to leave. I had my daughter this one class, and my little one, and if I leave too late, I'll get her to bed too late. So I left, and the older gods were out there. I think it was Kahim and some others. So I was like, yo, this is a good cipher to leave you with. Get you strong, muscular.
Man.
Tell me what you learned from them tomorrow, though. You know what I'm saying? And that'll be, at least I gave him something to positively speak to me. If you contact me, tell me what you learned, right? But I'm watching Ghostbusters with my daughter, enjoying myself, and he's texting me about a DJ that I know who's real peace with me, right? And saying how he's a snake though, because he's white, and he's a snake, and he did this to me. Do you know what he did to me? And I said, first of all, how would I know what he did to you? You know what I'm saying? And then he proceeds to give me like 10 about, I don't know how long the minutes were, but they were long, 10 voice notes in my text message. And I'm not gonna. I'm here. I'm not gonna listen to this now. And plus, it's going against the assignment. I said to only address me positively, with positivity. You know what I'm saying? So I said, address me with positivity, and then we could build, right? So that was it. He said, you've been disrespectful for a while, because I've been hard on him. I haven't, you know what I mean? I haven't relegated to him. I cut him off. I don't let you be the talker if you're not with your assignments, though. And be lucky that I didn't just kick you out. So he starts insulting me throughout the rest of that volley.
Oh.
Then he calls me and I answer him. Then I'm like, I'm just going to tell him, like, listen, you didn't do the assignment. That wasn't what he didn't even let me talk. He's yelling at me. My father was still alive at the time. He don't yell at me. My big sister don't yell at me. Nobody yells at me. The elders don't yell at me. Even when I was wrong, the older gods, there's no older god that ever yelled. I'm sure Firstborn Prince and a lot of them yelled at people. No elder god has ever yelled at me. Right? They've corrected me when I was wrong. They've said I did what I did wrong, but they've never yelled at me. You know what I'm saying? I've been scolded, all of that. Never yelled at me. Always treated me with utmost respect. And this guy's yelling at me like crazy, God. So I said, oh, no way, hang up. Man, God, he kept harassing me, calling me at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., things like that, where I couldn't figure out how to block the number. Like it just would come through, unknown number, and just come through. So I had to download an app to consistently block.
Wow.
I had to download an app to consistently block this MFer. You know what I mean?
So then that's when he decided
right.
to email
So
me.
he turns it into a hip hop thing. Oh, you know, because mind you, I'm doing it like the way people do now. I've never paid for studio time. I don't record in a studio. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, oh, you're not a real MC because you've never been in a studio. I said, I've been in many studios, many songs, many great songs I've seen, but I never recorded in a studio, and I'm sure it would be different. Right? But he's telling me, you're not an MC if you don't do it. He's writing this on the social medias. And King, he's putting King into it because we make the music together. And like, you guys gotta be real hip hop and actually take my challenge and battle me, you know? And I'm like, first of all, nobody knows you. Like, you don't have no name like that. You're not nice like that. You know what I mean?
Sunez, this is disgusting, man.
Yeah.
This is disgusting.
This is what he's doing. So I'm blocking him. King was upset about it, and he made a crazy diss song that was hilarious. And I said, you know what? He's not even. It's not
worth it.
He's not even doped like that. You know what I'm saying? We would have to educate people about who we're dissing to do that. However, what happened was that as we were making this third album that's out now, the Burnt Silk and Blessed Builds, there was a beat that he gave me. And in the chorus, King gave me the beat with the chorus and his verse. And the chorus was like, he's humming, because he's most deafish, you know what I mean? And he's like, you asked for it, now the truth is, now you're going to get it. So what King was talking about, like, meeting your idols and they ain't shit, but like, it didn't access to me because in this thing I've done, the people that I looked up to that I met, they were actually really great with me. Cool G Rap, KRS-One, Ice-T. These guys were great with me. Like, they were really nice with me, and they gave me lots of hours on the interview. You know what I'm saying? So in my head, I couldn't think of anybody that was like famous. The people that are assholes with me are the guys that suck. You know, there are famous people I've seen that are whack that think they're dope, and I don't like. But it just happened that I didn't really care about them like that anyway. So I got lucky. So in my years, it's not been like that. So I was like, you asked for it. I was like, you know what? I'm right about this motherfucker.
Oh, man.
You know, and that was the Jordan verse ELO song.
Okay.
And that's where I was saying, like, and that's why I said a Jack and Jill on a Cap'n Hill. You know, we don't accept your Agni Kai. You're fucking Agni Kai.
God, never in 1,000 years would I would think that you would enter a fucking rap beef. What?
Yeah.
What?
Now let me tell you something.
What dimension are we in?
There are MCs though that have thought I was beefing with them because my reviews were harsh though. But everything I write though, I say to them, like there was one MC that was like, "You didn't like the record like that?" And I said, "Listen, I wrote kind of creatively, so you're thinking I was like being clever, but I was very clear in there that your record was a little too commercial musically compared to your rest, and I think it falters. It makes you rhyme less good, like, you know, and whatever it was." And he don't really talk to me, and he didn't really care. I was nobody to him, and it was okay, you know. But whatever I wrote, I'm willing to say to your face. You know what I'm saying? And
now, see, I don't think this guy would say these things because I mean he even
and that was the thing. I wrote that before you ever emailed me that he was emailing you, and when you emailed me that snippet, and I played the snippet. And this is for the people that are listening, that are watching this. The snippet that he sent the God Infinite to tell Infinite that I'm somebody that shouldn't be teaching, which is really troll, but it's the whole troll playbook. The whole troll playbook. The snippet was a diss song he made to me, and he called it Simp God because he got bombed by one of the Earths. And I let the Earth talk because he was saying stuff about dressing a certain way, and the Earth, this Earth though, I've known the Earth for years. I'm gonna say like 15 years, maybe even longer. And the Earth is very beautiful, and she's curvaceous though. So she's not one to. She can't really hide her body, right? You know, like she dresses respectable, but you're gonna know she's voluptuous, right? I'm just keeping it real. And so she had something to say about that because she felt like what he was saying was very derogatory. Because like, what about women that they just naturally beautiful? They're not dressing deliberately like that, but they still get the thing. And you can't just lump everything. And like I do in the classroom, I let everybody speak their mind first, and I like to get them to develop their ways. And she bombed them. She bombed them. And I felt that when you're young and when you have this knowledge as newborn, you get bombed.
Right.
You get bombed up. You get told stuff that you're not ready for, and that is right and exact versus your thought you were right. And that's what he got. So that's why he called it Simp God, because I shouldn't have let her speak. You know? I shouldn't have let her speak.
But then he insulted that, which I find really like
right.
He insulted
the real
the
thing,
Earth.
right?
I was like,
now my old Earth passed away in 2017.
What?
And he just happened to write in there, you know, and I'm glad that your mother died.
What?
What? And that she's in the dirt, and the hell with her, and kept going. And
no, that's a bitch move. That's bitch.
Yeah, I've never heard that. God, you know, I wrote a whole song criticizing Jay-Z's career, and I never heard him say anything like that in a diss song. You know, I've never heard this song. Somebody go at their mother. In fact, Eminem's music when he buries his baby mamas is bothersome to us because you're attacking a mother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't even like that. And Eminem has a lot of like disses toward his mom. You know, like that stuff we don't do. We love the old Earth and respect it, even if we don't have one. And this was a thing, the accountability. This is why I knew he wasn't going to pass. Like, he had issues with the God 07, omnipotent Allah. He had issues with him, who's the most peaceful person in the universe. You know what I mean? And he had issues with him because the people that he works with, he felt they did him dirty too. And now he didn't want him to work with them. And it's like, I know you for like a month, and the people I work with for years are no good now, right? You have to prove these kind of things. And he did it. And he was getting mad. Peace, God.
Peace.
And so that was the thing. But to say something, I'll tell you something. I wrote that song, Jordan Versilo, has that diss against him. And I think it's powerful enough. But if someone disses my old Earth like that, like is glad they're dead, or wishes harm on them and something like that, I'm gonna say that's not something I write songs against. That's not a rap beef that I'm in. I'm not in that rap beef.
Yeah.
This is something else you put yourself into. And I'm just gonna say, I'm not writing a song as if that would vindicate that. You know what I'm saying?
I said, you don't know Sunez, man?
Yeah.
Put karate to your body.
You know? Yeah, you know, and it's pathetic. It shows you that he couldn't think of bad things to say about me.
You still in here?
So he had to just insult my reality. You know, because how's that working a diss song? It's like, oh, he's making songs without going to a studio. How is that a diss? Like, how is that like amazing bars? There's nothing he could say because all that he got from me was things that I gave him, things I taught him. You know, and he failed a basic assignment that I think everybody, all of us, always need to be working on. You know, peace, God. Is, yo, how far are we going into negativity? You know what I mean? Because look, Day-Sun just walked in, and if we took out a scroll though and wrote down little details in short vignettes as possible as we could, all of the bad things that people have done to us in this industry, man, we'd be here all night. We'd be here all night, right, God? So we can't spend our time doing that. And I used to tell him, listen, you want to be known for that? That's what you want to be known for? You want to be known for what people did to you or what you did? You know?
So you're still teaching him while...
Yeah, I still give you a lesson.
Still teaching.
You know, I spank to the very end, you know, with the lesson.
With teaching.
I spank you with the lesson, you know?
I wanted to build with y'all on, like, what are y'all thinking about the transition of the 5% newspaper? And now, you know, it's going from a monthly subscription to, what is it, 3 months? What is it got?
I'm not sure where the status is at this particular point in time, but I do know that it's going to be requiring of a restructuring and an assessment. And it takes a lot to put together that paper. It's not just about the collection of articles and content. It's about the layout, production costs, mailing. There's a lot that goes into that. And the people who have maintained that particular vehicle for nearly 3 decades, kudos to them.
Yeah, peace to them. Yeah, no, that's it's a definitely iconic paper.
There's never been a month missed.
Right. It's iconic. So that's why, like, I'm looking at it like the change of it, and then, but that just also speaks to media in general.
Yeah.
How media has changed over the years. You know what I'm saying? It's no longer the same. It's like we're in a different time now. You know what I'm saying? And it just.
There was a show on, it was some cartoons on, and the guy was doing a reference to Mad Magazine. He was like, I bet you don't know what Mad is. I bet you don't know what a magazine is. And that's what his generation is. Print has been decimated by the internet. The news cycle going 24/7 was, it kind of made it consume itself, where everybody is looking for content, and it's not about necessarily quality, skills, vetting, making sure that your sources are accurate, that there's some real investigation going in. Everybody wants to scoop everybody, so it's a matter of getting the content out there as soon as possible without it really being weighed for its journalistic merit. For instance, when you learn about journalism, there's the journalistic questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. And most of the time, when you read an article, they tell you who, what, where, and when, but they never tell you why and how. And that's a very important and crucial aspect of it. But most of the time, you don't have, if you're going for a 24-hour news cycle and you're trying to scoop everybody, you don't have the resources or the time to really find out the why and the how. But that's the meat and potatoes of it, the why and the how. And because we don't have the why and how, we're just getting information without context, and the context is very important. If they give you story about certain funding is going to this particular area. That's not telling you anything. This funding, what's the opportunity cost involved in that? What's not getting funded? Where this funding coming from? Who are the players that made this funding goes to this particular area as opposed to another? And these are the questions that you don't have time to delve into if all you were concerned about is putting out what happened before somebody else does. And when it comes to nation media, how many writers do we have who can consistently put together information? How many can take assignments and do investigative reports and come up with substantive material on a consistent basis? I mean, you've been able to do it as far as generating content and video scale, but imagine distilling that into a print, and then doing the layout, and then getting that to the printer, then getting that from the printer, and then distributing it.
Yeah, that's a.
And then there are costs. It's not.
Yeah, no, right.
You know, you don't roll up to the printer and say, yo, we 5%. So just run that press for us. Just fix that tape, that template up, and run us 1,000 copies.
And on top of that, there's no ad revenue.
And when I was studying, the lifeblood of any entity is advertising. In a magazine or a newspaper, it's supposed to be 70-30. 70% ads, 30% content. That's the maximum. I mean, that's the optimal mix. But nowadays, you'll see 70% content and 30% ads. Or you'll see 90% content and 10% ads. Nice number there, right? 2%. But if you look at the 5%, you see that there is no advertising, which means it has to go solely through subscriptions and point of sales, individual sales. And you can see that there, with the decline in, say, attendance at their parliament, where a lot of the sales happen, it's not happening there. So if it costs, just pull a number out of the air, $500 to print, and you're only receiving $500 in revenue, you see what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because now that doesn't include shipping, that doesn't include the cost of envelopes. So now you're operating at a deficit, and it becomes a labor of love, and you're coming out of your pocket for it.
Right.
And that might be good for a few months, but imagine doing it for 20 years.
So my question would be, what solution do we have to, fill in those gaps? And it's something just to think about. I know that that's not an easy answer, but that's just one of the questions that I would put to you as well as anybody who might be watching this type. What is the solution? I mean, because 5% newspaper is not the only print that has suffered, right?
Print in general.
Print in general has suffered.
The entire industry.
So it's not like you can't just say that that the 5% is not doing what they're supposed to do, or 5%, or we're not.
I'm not saying that at all.
No, not you. No, I'm just saying like there will be people who might say that like the 5% this and 5% that, and that's why the newspaper is is no longer. But overlooking the fact that print in general is out. You know what I'm saying?
Print in general was out. And even if there was a complete overhaul and it was just straight hard news, meaning things that happen and no editorial where people expound, there still has to be an audience, and that audience has to support. There has to be a base. Any magazine, that's why you see that the magazines that do still survive, they rely heavily on subscriptions. They have to, because even if they have a certain amount of an advertising base, that's based on their distribution and circulation. Which is why they want to lock in subscriptions, because that means they have a consistent amount of people, a consistent audience that they can show their advertisers to get their revenue. But if you're dealing with a situation where advertising is not the key, then it's solely on subscriptions and solely on the buyers.
I was asking Sunez, like, what do you think is the a solution to the way media is going nowadays, and like I said, print is suffering. So what's the solution in terms of as a nation, we need media, right? We need,
Could I be a jerk?
oh man.
The solution should have been that they shouldn't have stopped other media from happening. Do I get to say that now? Because when I was doing Mecca Mission, I remember people acting like I was an adversary, even when they didn't do anything that I was doing. And I spoke to them clearly, that we're doing something totally different, right? So they decided whatever they did, part of their solution will also be how they cannibalize media as well in this nation. Or we're not going to look at that, right? How they cannibalized media and made it that they're the only paper to look at, right? So they made it that they were the only paper to look at, and there's no other types of papers, other styles of writing, no other way of disseminating builds, insights, realities, experiences of us in this nation, our interactions with the people, etc., right? They did that too. So if they don't have all of the ways to expand, if they don't have all the ways to be different and appeal to everyone, maybe that's because they spent time cannibalizing for a one-note paper. And only have one style of writing that only goes to one type of direction. And every other style, though, even if other people were doing it, though, it was unacceptable. Not only for them to do it, but letting other people do it. Now that's my big asshole response.
Okay, no, and I want to ask, because I know that sounds a bit personal, right?
Oh, it's totally personal. It's completely biased.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's completely biased.
But I don't want to just get too far off into personal. I just want to see, how can another entity stop another entity that is doing its own thing?
You ask them. I didn't stop any entity. They did. So you ask them. People not investing it. People not knowing about it.
I mean, how is their investment?
People being told that it shouldn't be bought. People being told that it's not really about the nation and it's not really representing this nation. Right? My role in this, though, is that you know me, God, I've never been cutthroat with business. I just make things. As far as selling them, no, and ripping to shreds the competition, I don't do that. I just make something that's really great. And that's what I did for a whole year with it. But what I'm saying is this. It means something relevant besides the bias, because when the newspaper, seeing that the newspaper was going to be difficult to sell, not because of mine, not because of anything else, but because newspapers don't sell print, right? As Dayson already built. They had years in advance, though, to look at online, to develop an online presence, though. And this is not something I'm faulting them for. I'm telling them that I'm saying that everything has been difficult. Everything. Right. The online work that we've tried to do has been difficult. And I think some of it, though, has to do with the culture of this nation, where they want to see things written, though, but nobody wants to write anything. They want to see things written, but they still have the same played out concept that plus lessons are no good. And yet when you open the P.E.A.C.E paper, the best articles are really plus lessons if you really go deep down into it. when people
you talk
when
about-
they print something from prison, they're not writing about the community and how it was in mess hall today. They're writing a build about something that deals with this knowledge of self on a different level. And I mean not a community level, because they're not writing. They never printed letters that are talking about the community of jail life. Right? Here's how it is with this. I never even read something, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dae-Sun, because you read more of the issues than I have. I never saw a letter, though, where somebody said, you know, here's my experiences, though, with teaching other people here. You very rarely get that. You get builds about this knowledge, about the knowledge. That's a plus lesson. So we publish a plus lesson, but we tell everybody young, though, that they shouldn't read them, they shouldn't use them, they shouldn't even think about quoting them, they shouldn't think about respecting them. So it's this two-pronged thing that has been since I was writing this. And this is important because we're writers. You remember I was telling you that in the beginning when we started this class, though, people thought of us, remember, they thought of this as just a writing class, right? Mm-hmm. And that was a way that we were under the radar where people wouldn't bother us. You know why? Because a lot of the elders didn't respect writing. They didn't respect writing. And that's interesting, coming from the place that gets the most hell, Mecca, that gets the most hell for writing things that other boroughs, specifically Medina, disagree with. Right? And yet, even in this place where they should love writing and they should be open to it, they should be people, the way Medina talks about it, there was a printing press in the backyard, you know what I mean? But there wasn't. There wasn't a printing press. It's just the concept of you writing your original understanding about ideas in the math, alphabet, 120 lessons, or anything is shunned upon. Is shunned upon.
So, I mean, well.
So what I'm saying, though, is that when we go into print on the social media, now we're getting the younger person. What's the viability of younger people writing? How do we recruit younger people to write, though, when we have such a strict guideline of what they could say, what they'll write? You know? I'm not saying that, I'm not blaming the power paper for this. This is a nation thing. It's a whole nation thing.
Yeah.
Because we all have problems recruiting writers to write consistently and write their ideas freely. I constantly got, when we did Mecca Mission, I don't know enough. I don't know if what I wrote is good enough. And I'd be like, just send it to me. Send it to me. We'll work on it. Right? But it's different. They don't want to write something that is not right exactly.
It's the same thing. I think
Right?
that's all across the board with media in general, because I kind of get the same pushback with doing videos. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you know, why you doing all this? You putting this our nation on
Right.
frustrated and all
Yeah.
that. You know, so you know, a lot of times we don't agree. You know, but at the end of the day, like as a nation, we do need media.
Okay.
Media is essential to nation.
Yeah.
Nationhood, right? You know,
Not everything is for everybody, and I'm sure that's what an editor's job is, to decide what content to become that. Like, for instance, they talk about, and I was building with one of the older guys about this recently, they talk about the article that the father did and the particular, the Otisville interview. And you have to understand that when you're being interviewed, you know that the reporter has a certain agenda, and that reporter has an editor. And even if you actually have a certain part of that interview, it's been, for a term that everyone can understand, mixed, diluted, and tampered with. But that's not what they call it. They call it editing, which is actually, it's a certain, it's in a refinement process. But when you're dealing with media, that time, definitely during that era in the 60s, it was whitewashed. If you weren't in Ebony, Jet, or Essence, and I'm not even sure if Essence existed back at that particular time, but I know Ebony and Jet was. Everything was going through a prism. So when a person is being interviewed by that machine, you're gonna have a certain mindset. You're guarded. You're gonna preserve the best part for yourself. And then once that information is taken, it's going to be edited. It's going to be processed and filtered according to whatever the agenda and the editorial mission is of that particular publication. And I'm sure that the devil's job wasn't to be a PR representative for the gods.
Right.
So we have to keep that in mind when we're looking even at those particular things, that it was from the prism of the white media establishment or the mainstream media establishment. And Allah being wise knew that. He knew who he was sitting with, and he knew how he would play that particular game, if you will. And even with him being all wise in that situation, once it was taken by whatever reporter, correspondent, it's still, they had to go back to the editor and say, this is what he said, and then they had to edit and put what they put into an article. I might interview someone for an hour and 15 minutes. Recently, I've been doing a martial arts magazine. I might interview someone for an hour and 15 minutes. And out of that whole hour and 15 minutes, imagine how much talking you can do in an hour and 15 minutes. I might only use 10 minutes at the most of that particular interview. And you select it according to the narrative that you want to, sort of like you have infinite amount of variations of color. But when you go to paint your picture, you're only going to use, you might only use 3.
Right.
You might prominently have red, black, and white with a smidgen of yellow, and that's it. But you have an infinite variation. The same thing happens when you're going to put together a verbal picture. I have all of these particular quotes and anecdotes and them answering questions, and I go this whole span of their life. When I interview a person, I look at the past, present, and future. Like I do the biographical thing, find out where they are now, and then get some speculation on where they're going so that I can put a picture of that person's life together. But you're gonna look for juicy tidbits. You want an article that is this entertaining. You don't want people to sit there and snooze, because as it is, people are not attracted. Media is dying. Print media is dying. People don't read, and it's like, and articles. Back when I was writing for magazines, articles like 3,000, 2,500, 1,500. Now 500. Oh, that's too much. I saw an internet post. It was just one paragraph of text, and somebody put in the comments, "That's too much to read." It was just like a paragraph. That's too much to read.
That's the state of the time.
A paragraph is too much to read.
Yeah.
Not even 250 words. It's too much to read. But yet, I used to do 3,000, 3,500, and that was and still, with an hour of interview, you're only using 10 minutes of whatever.
Right.
And you could write so much more, especially if you're dealing with a person's life story.
Yeah. What about the older magazines? You know what I mean? Like the Gay Talese stuff. Like they'd be with somebody for a whole week and write like a 30-page article. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's another thing. You don't get time with people anymore.
Yeah.
Back when I started getting into hip hop journalism, they would actually, meet the artists.
Yeah. You spend the day with them. Yeah.
Not even, sometimes even following them for a period of time.
Yeah.
Traveling, going on tour, all kinds of stuff. And then you have a good portrait. Now you're in a room with 30 other reporters, and they bring the principal to each table, and they sit there for 10 minutes and move on to the next table. And it's a marathon session like that. They call them press junkets or something.
Yeah.
And so, are you really going to get a feel for a person to put a pictorial together, a portrait together, a strong narrative, when all you have is you're sitting at a table with 4 other people and you've had 10 minutes to shoot questions at them? Right. And even if you get one-on-one time, you might be the 25th person that they've spoken to that day. And you have to, in your interview, ask a question that they probably, you're trying to find things that they haven't been asked 100 million times. And more than likely, you're not going to be that successful. Because just as you're thinking of asking them a question that they've never been asked before, everybody else is,
and sometimes
willfully.
You can't. There was a great MC, he passed away, and I had a phone interview with him. And I said, I already know that album's coming out, I already know all the details of that. So I just start, and I only have like 10 minutes, and I ask them a question, a different question, something totally different. And it needs a little lead, like, you know, it's not a quick, like, hey, do you like this? It's, I had to explain it a little bit. And right when I'm getting to the question, on the phone, the actual publicist is actually interrupting and saying, wait, this isn't like the questions, and she's doing that, and it was just, it had to be the worst interview I ever did. Worst.
I think some of the best interviews I've done is when they said, "Oh, nobody ever asked me that question before."
I mean, that's what we're looking for, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to ask the question and no one's asking for.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that before.
Right.
And when they're like, "Well, this is a good interview," oh, you've done your research. You got to come to the interview knowing everything.
Yeah.
And if you know what's already out there,
But that's why I'm saying, like, I'm being vicious here, right? Because I'm embedded in this whole nation media. Like, I'm part of it, you know? We're part of it, God. Like, we're not unbiased to our criticism of it. But I think that if we're going to get more people to write, my first answer is always the way I teach. I always get I get thought of differently, and I got a lot of flack in the beginning because I teach a much more freer style. You know? I let the student talk longer than they should compared to what people expect. I let them, I find out more about them though, where other elders would look at it and they're like, you don't need to know that shit. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, you know? And I try to find out about them longer, you know? And if they have issues and they have topics and stuff, I can let them go longer. If they talk about music, if you notice, or like things that they like, I let them go a little longer with it. You know? And I think that to get writers, to get the young that want to express themselves through this media, whatever media we choose it to be, internet or anything else, we're going to have to be free enough to find out what type of media that they would like to express themselves in, how, under what condition. What type of article would they write? What type of way that they would want to express themselves? Because nobody writes an article out of obligation. They're not going to get a consistent amount. They're going to write something because they want to share something of what they found out or what they want to say. So how do we get them into the point where I really have something to say, or I don't have a forum to say stuff, and maybe this one could be it, you know? Because what's funny, we're having problems with media, and the power people, right, is not releasing the consistency of issues, and yet I'm sure that there's more people now that would like to express themselves through that medium like that than ever before. So it's about capturing it though. And I don't know what the total answer is, but one of them is going to be let the young be young, you know, like, and if we're editors, right, then we have to be guide ships to funnel that in a good way. Say, hey, this is good, but, you know, this part right here is not really, it's good, but it's not right and exact at all. Like, you know, like, your build here just went awry, but it has good stuff. We have to find some kind of way like that, you know, because I'm not so sure that even though the mediums are being outdated, that the young don't like the mediums.
Right.
You know?
You just got to expose them a certain way to the medium.
Exactly. You know, I don't think that they don't like it though, you know?
And they don't know how to reach the good stuff now because it's so overwhelmed with a lot of other stuff.
A book, a magazine and stuff, they're more rare now, but they end up being, with some young, they're more of a big deal too.
Right.
It's like, wow, you actually were able to, you have a book, right, it's a big deal, you know what I'm saying? Right?
Almost like an art piece.
Yeah. And I say, this is off the cuff, the ideas and possibilities, but I mainly write books because, you know, it gets me more money, you know? And I don't have to have an editor. You know what I'm saying? So I write my books really gung-ho, so I don't use any editors or anything like that. You know what I mean? If they got spelling mistakes, I don't give a shit. Their style, you know? And I didn't catch. But, you know, it's possible. It's almost easier to release a book than it is to release a newspaper. I could release a book faster than the power people could make an issue.
Yeah, because I see that your output of work is
you
have a large output of work.
Because you could do it all your own, and you don't have to have capital to invest. And that's why I'm able to make all these books, though.
Well, it's almost the same thing with this, like my output, you mentioned my output
Yeah.
videos and stuff though, like, you know, like, I don't have to keep buying cars, like back in the day, you had to buy tapes.
Right, yeah, you don't have to,
Like, I could
you
just
don't need old
dump it,
film
you know what I'm
and,
saying?
yeah, right.
I mean, it does cause in terms of like, you know, I have to have a hard drive, you know, that's another issue, you know, dealing with storage.
Can imagine how many
solutions.
hours you got, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have right now about like 90 terabytes.
90 terabytes.
90 terabytes of,
Shit, I wish I had that
material.
much of music. 90 terabytes
Of
of music.
videos, and this is 10 years. I'm going
Yeah.
on 10 years
Wow.
of documenting,
Yeah.
of doing this, you know what I'm saying? And now, you know, trying to manage it a certain way. And it's growing.
Right.
And it's just like this right here is going to be
So you're
about,
buying external drives all the time.
yeah, and that's becoming a little bit arduous. Like it's like where I gotta find another way. I gotta get a NAS or a LAN or, you know, something that's gonna really, you know what I'm saying, to really, because these drives are like filled to capacity. I got about like 9.
And then now they're like your books, you know, like you're stacking them on a shelf. Yeah.
But I gotta be able to manage it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, and which is I want to build with y'all, because like, you know, managing like this whole media thing becomes a bit much. You know, a lot of times, you know, even doing this, like, why'd you put that out? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm by myself. A lot of times, maybe some things I might catch. Some things that you might say that might offend someone. Yo, why you put that out? Maybe I should have thought about that.
Sure,
before.
yeah.
So you know, and the editing process is extreme. So, you know, I would like to put our heads together a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Develop this, you know, with the writing, and then develop a system, because I see the output of work that you're doing. You're doing, you know, a lot of stuff too. You know, like how can we develop a system to where we can optimize on all these things.
Yeah.
Optimize, like, you know, you making the books, you know, you writing the books and these videos and whatever print media that we may have, like a paper, if it's gonna be like once a month or once, I mean, pardon, once every 3 months, or once every 6, you don't know.
In general, not an immediate thing, but in general, like, because, you know, I'm the last person, I don't burden people that I teach, though, with what they got to do for the nation. When they show and prove that they're the true and living God, then I'm telling them, like, yo, you're not here in this universe alone. And then now your responsibilities come. But in general, I'm here just sharing and representing the school, sharing freely. But if the people we're teaching are not young enough, right? If let's go through the ages though. If they're too young, then let's say our students and the people we're dealing with are too young to write a magazine, to add on to newspapers, things like that, right? That's one thing, right? That's a delightful dilemma, right? Because we want them all young, you know what I'm saying? So we think of different things to do for them, right? If they're of the age to write, and all of our students are 20s, 30s, shit like that, then that means that they're not being told what to do for this nation. And they're not doing it. You know? And then that's something that we have to look into. And I think it's more the latter. You know? That who we're teaching and who we're building with, how are they giving back, you know, to the nation? So I don't know. I think if, as a whole, I'm saying this as a whole, then we talk to everyone that we have and say, what are you going to add on with this nation? That something has to be added on. Because when I learned what knowledge mean, right, remembered imperfection, my enlightener, that was the main assignment. Once I had knowledge 120, you know, like, you know, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So that's why I like to focus.
Like, what are you doing for the nation?
Right, and what's within my control, because I don't have control over, you know, any other forms of media. I have some control over this. You know, what can I do? You know, I pose a question to myself, and then I pose it to anybody who may be able to have an answer. Well, what can I do to, you know, with this that can help enhance what, you know, is being done? You know, how can I enhance what you have control of? See what I'm saying? Like, what? How can I add on to make it to whereas, what I'm doing is going to enhance what you're doing, and vice versa.
In your travels, you've gone all over this country interviewing, and you develop relationships and contacts. So, in that way, with those contacts, you could be able to generate content through the contacts. For instance, you know somebody in Arkansas, you know somebody in Wisconsin, you know somebody in California, you know somebody in Florida. What's going on? Now you have different reports from different regions. If there are 11 regions and you know people in every region, then getting an aggregation of different individuals in those regions of what's going on, what they're doing, how the ciphers, what happened at the local parliament, getting that information back, it starts to form a basis of content. So you have a network that can generate content, and then getting reports from those areas consistently can form the basis of a media project.
No, and I agree. Well, I'll say that on a solo level, it's a bit overwhelming. Because it's a lot. I'm sitting here shooting it, and then I gotta edit it. I gotta make sure that it's right and it's relevant to what's happening. So developing a system as well as a team that is in tune with that system is pivotal. I think.
And then speaking, using self as an example, we had a determined idea as far as doing an aggregation of the best media or the top media people in the nation. And I personally had trials and tribulations that removed me from the scene.
Right.
So even though I was spearheading that idea, because of my personal trials and tribulations, I wasn't involved with it for a while, and then it kind of went astray.
Right, and that's why I emphasize a system. I didn't cut your wisdom, but I emphasize a system.
Yeah,
so when you do go through it,
but even when you have a system, sometimes there's dissatisfaction that happens within the system, and the system itself falls apart. And so a system is only as strong as the components that comprise the system. So even if you remove yourself, there still has to be people capable of being consistent and to keep the determined idea going. So, and a lot of times when you have the initial start of the idea, you can't see 5 years down the line, will this person burn out? Will I have personal difficulties? Will there be trials and tribulations? Will there be a situation where my old dad returns that's going to impact me in a way that takes me mentally out of the game and emotionally out of the game? You can't see those things initially. And I think that's why it's important also you have to have the next generation and have a person, a team has to develop a team.
Yeah, that's my point there. Developing a team.
But the team has to develop a team.
Right. And hence that's the system.
Like in the spook who sat by the door, he said that when he was teaching in these positions, you had to know 3 positions back and 3 positions forward. So if anything happened, you can move backwards and forward. But it's hard to implement. Well, they said many a call, but the chosen a few. But I mean, sometimes the call comes and none come. Not even many. There's a call.
Right. Nobody's really choosing themselves in the day.
Well, many a call, but no one's listening. No one's heeding.
We're also in the era of feelings, though. So, more so than anything, though, people's not adding on in the nation is more about their feelings. Like, I was very critical in the beginning of this, right? And they're using old excuses, but they never seem to get old. They go, oh, the nation, the school is old, and the school is not well kept. The elders are doing this, they're doing that. and this school never looked this clean or able to do stuff in it. Than ever, you know. So it's all excuses, you know. It's people's excuses not to come around and stuff like that, and their own personal issues, not to build and stuff like that. And they're not around the school though, and they'll say their reasons not to come and add on with the school, which is really where you're going to get media coming from, you know. And yet, wherever they're at though, I don't see them doing anything. I go online, I don't see anything popping off where they're at, you know.
But then you're going to tear down what is
right.
there,
So, because the mentality is like, when I got knowledge, the mentality was like, listen, you're here long enough, right? Like I was, you're here long enough, coming every single day. I was like, there's a lot wrong with this stuff here. And he does things wrong, he's going to be consistently wrong, like, etc., etc., right? But then always the counter, when you open your big mouth and you say, oh, that's no good, that's this. Well, you go change it though. You do something. What are you going to add on? You know? Like, in other words, to me, I find that like a very clever victimhood. And that's not really our mentality. So we're having trouble finding people of the right mentality that we have. Because if you say the school's no good because they got people here that I don't like, or they do things that's not right and exact and this and that, or the school's not clean, this and that, but you don't come to clean it and stuff like that. You don't come to fix it. That means you're saying you're weak. That's all I've gotten. That's all I've registered. God, the last 23 years I've been teaching here. That's all I registered. Every single person that says that, that's all I register. You're too weak to clean it though. Because I see elders that are in very bad shape, sweeping, mopping, cleaning up. And you don't like the job they're doing.
But you're not helping.
But you don't come and do it. You know? So that's all I see. I see a lot of victimhood. You know, a lot of self-victimization though, you know? I don't see people saying, when they say that, they don't say, I came there teaching this, that, and the other, and it was not accepted. I don't see that. Because the people that were exiled from here though, they literally weren't right and exact. The people that complain that the school don't teach this, that, they don't tell you their understanding of what they were doing. They pull out, and I've gotten it myself, they pull out a crumbled plus lesson, the ones that they told you not to memorize, and they say, he said that they don't teach that here. Look, they unscroll, usually a Sham God plus lesson, and they unscroll a crumbly paper that they've held, look, and they say, he said that if you say refinement though, you're going to be a girl. And they don't come and they build here, you know? But if they were powerful enough though, and what they were said was correct enough, because they keep telling us so, that power is the truth, then they would come here though, and they would be that truth, and they would be the ones that were teaching, that were fixing, that were using this outpost. But I don't see that though. And where they're at though, when they say these things, I don't see an outpost there. I don't see any outpost there. You see? I don't see the media that they criticize, I don't see them making any media either. The type of student that they don't like, I don't see them building the type of student that they like.
Yes, I recently had a run-in with an individual online, several run-ins about that, and like, you know, they teaching poor knowledge at the school, and they're doing this, and the reason why the parliaments are not filled up.
Yeah.
Well, then what is it about this, you know, this advanced education that you have that has done anything in your life that's so great? That's an example that we can actually draw from.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, I personally, I've always been of the mindset, and this goes against the mold. And I've always been against recruiting. So when I see so many few people, I think that's the way it ought to be. You know, people.
It is 5%.
If you look at it now, right? People were coming here because they heard things in songs. Today, you know this though. That's why I call it the invisible renaissance. That there are as many talented 5%ers and probably more that make music than there ever was. But their music doesn't end up on a popular forum. So you don't see people gravitating and saying, oh, I heard this. they don't hear Estinak on the radio, because if he was, he'd be a real hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says everything cool, and you know, he's dynamic.
That's why I say I think that's important.
And people don't come and say, "Oh, I heard Estinak and I wanted to check this out," and shit like that, right? They don't. So that's really the only difference to me.
I said we need to develop our own economy.
You know, so like, yeah, and it's not going to be as big as those big waves. You know?
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah. And also at the same time, though, a lot of the stuff that was being taught, though, it was never heard before, so it was exotic. Knowledge itself is not as exotic anymore. You know? It's not as exotic anymore. You know, just like, God knows, because I was drinking this shit forever, though, but when I was drinking kombucha in '96, though, it was exotic. It was an exotic drink. You know? But now it's not really an exotic drink, you know? It doesn't even explode when you open it like it used to, you know? So it's like the same thing. So it's like, yeah, whatever with that, you know? It's whatever. So it's the same thing with the knowledge, though. It's something that we shared a lot, though, so in some respects, so you could say that it's also becoming common knowledge, because we know it's knowledge always. So with some people, though, whether they believe it or not, or they see it or not, it's common. You know what I'm saying? It's common. It's different.
Well, what extraordinary are, you know, that's just to put the question, like, what extraordinary are these different individuals doing with it that makes it so, you know, that's going to make it attractive? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My answer has always been to get students to create things. You know? Because
there's a lot
hip-hop
of people
was
creating, but it's just, like I said, we haven't really developed our own economy to whereas we're supporting it. But I think we have the ability. The ability's here, just a matter of implementing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just not happening right now. Like, you know, and I'm just trying to figure out how to draw that up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like all the books that you're doing, the music that you're producing.
And listen, for people that say that they're 5%, though, that's the people that buy my books the least.
Yeah, that's,
you know what I mean?
That's something, huh?
5%ers aren't buying my books, though. 5%ers are giving me pounds for writing all these books. They say, "Oh, the record is dope. I didn't know you," but they give me a pound, though. I didn't see them on, you know, they didn't buy it. You know what I mean? So it's not like everybody's supporting their economy. And if you ask the MCs, and I won't say which ones, but when I build with them and they're 5%ers, though, their market is not other 5%ers, though. We get to pound our chest and say, "Oh, look, we have rappers here, we have rappers there," but we're not supporting them. You know? Like I said, 85 is buying my records, so 85 is buying my books. You know? And maybe because it's a hip-hop thing, whatever, all types of reasons, because I'm in the low lives support my stuff more than 5%. That's a fact. It's just, you know? It's a fact.
So that's like the age-old saying, like, just go out in the world and build, right? Just go and build. Go build something.
Yeah. And that's why it's funny. I get shit for being in the low lives and everything, but those people are learning how to be, whatever I have to share, they're learning it. And a lot of them are implementing. I won't say who and put them out there, but you go do the knowledge to those low lives that are famous, though, and see which ones don't eat pork and don't rap about it no more, and this and that, right? You know, so.
You say you can't teach a 5%.
Right? Yeah, you know. But I think, though, that if we are, you know, it doesn't have to be me, but if we're proud of those in our nation that are doing stuff, though, we should support them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right? You know.
Absolutely.
And I get to say that, though. And be in a glass house. I get to say that all the time because my whole career is doing that. My career, they say our careers are flower garden careers. We write about people, though. You know what I'm saying? People go, "Oh, you get your flowers." That's all we ever write. That's all we've been doing. You know? But if we supported the other pieces of the economy and stuff like that, we could do more. You know what I mean?
Well, I think between us, that we could actually, put a lot of these things
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
on the forefront. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Draw up all these things that are happening in the
Yeah.
nation, because we're the media people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
I think that there's maybe we don't know enough. That's why I love what Minister Freedom's doing,
Mhm.
making a database. Maybe there's so many people with the knowledge and it's hard to access because people are in their kids are in their home. They're not in the street. You don't bang in, you don't bump into people all the time,
right.
right? Like before. Maybe having more information of where everyone is and what everybody's doing is better,
No, for sure. What
Yeah.
Minister Freedom is doing is
Because I can say,
important.
like, a lot of students I teach, though, once they have a good foundation from coming to the class, they stop coming to the class.
Mm.
They'll just connect with me and only talk to me via text, phone, or meet up. They want it to be personal after that. And they don't even come to the class,
Mm.
So, maybe having the information, like what Minister Freedom is doing and things like that. All this stuff is vital,
Absolutely.
right? How me and Darkim are always teaching online from here, and how we develop a proper online student that is valuable.
Mm.
For many, and of course the elders, there'll never be a quality online student, but at least we could have a viable one.
Yeah. I mean, because this is a living culture, not something that you just get
Yeah.
online. So
A viable one. Because remember, most of the other places outside of the New York City and shit, and Mecca, and the boroughs, the knowledge was someone moving over there and then bringing it. They physically moved and then lived in that area, L.A., right, Massachusetts, right, wherever they moved there. But there's a lot of other places where we didn't move yet. Like someone really worthy, like there's like King Asiatic remembered in perfection going to Lynn, right? There's not a quality King Asiatic going everywhere in the globe, going everywhere in every part of the globe. But Darkim is when he's online, and I am when I possibly online, when I'm online. So I try to make like some type of curriculum for them, and of course I have to weed out to really find out where they're from, right? Because I was telling you, the kid was from Queens and he was like, "Oh, I want to learn, and email me stuff," and I'm like, "Nah, get your ass here." I taught many people from Queens here. Yeah, because even when you teach them online, the point is that they connect with you personally, individually offline. And then hopefully you could get them to a point where they could learn something viable. You know what I mean? Because, God, some people contact me from countries that I know we're not in, like African countries too.
Yeah, right.
Like I have some emails from people from South Africa.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I take a trip out there. How long am I supposed to stay there till they're a good student? Like, how long? How long do I have to live there?
Before you actually
right?
Right.
It's not like I could do a knowledge of self tour and pop-up shops. God pop-up shop. And
She said maybe you can.
Yeah, maybe that's something.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's something that
maybe
I've
do
heard,
a God pop-up shop.
I've heard of Born King kind of talk like that, because he has has a mixtape. Born King in Canada.
Yes, yeah.
Right, that he has a mixtape, or he has a project, like a knowledge of self series, and that's what he's trying to do. Go around and get, I guess, but he's using hip hop. He's using hip hop to attract the people and possibly develop a tour. You know what I'm saying, behind that, and do exactly what you're talking about.
That could work. Yeah. When you mix the hip hop in it, yeah.
Right. So and that's why I said maybe like if we just kind of draw up, something like that. Like I like what you and King Kamal is doing. So maybe if we could do that maybe on a wider scale. You see what I'm saying? And then create the video content. Do it from here. So something that's from centered from the nation, maybe Mecca in particular, and and put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to. Yeah, we have to figure it out. It's crazy how things go because that was a full circle shit. Because like, my father was like my biggest adversary. You know, when I was in college, though, I actually fought him. Like
Fought him?
Fought him
You physically fought your
and
father?
I beat him. And my mother kicked him out of the house while I was in college. You know.
Wow.
He eventually took her back. By then I was on my own.
Peace, God.
You know?
Peace, God.
Peace, God. And so that was like the relationship. Like it was always nigga shit. You doing nigga shit. Like I got choked out as a kid because I had Isaiah Thomas poster.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And it wasn't
I
just
didn't
the
know it was like
poster. I had said that I want to be, who you want to be like. And my brother said some other shit because they liked acting, like all that shit. They said, they mentioned some white person. And I'm like, nah, I want to be like Isaiah Thomas though. So you want to be like a nigga? You want to be one of these niggas?
Wow. No, no.
And I was like, oh man, just choking me out like Homer Simpson shit like that. But I love, that's why I love basketball. You know what I mean? And there's no way I should be playing basketball. But out of all the sports, it was like the blackest thing. It had the most soul, the most style, right? It has the most style, And I love baseball. Like today, as a grown-up, I watch more baseball than I watch basketball, But basketball was has the soul, the style. You know what I mean?
And that's where we all met.
Yeah.
When we was kids, we met on the ball court. We didn't meet on the baseball field.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody met on the blacktop.
Yeah.
All the boys on the blacktop.
But
in the park.
growing up, though, everything was like that. Even if I said like my favorite was a ball player, like if it was a baseball player, though, it still would be kind of like, it'd be like, it wouldn't be that accepted, just ignored if I had said like a Puerto Rican baseball player. Like it's just the self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to try to emulate white people that doing shit. And that's a big deal. But I spent so much time with him though, and he saw so many things I was doing that by the end, his last days were like when I was doing the second album, The Unlearned. And the last song I was doing was the solo song on that album. And he actually was like, hey, you're gonna record now, I'll keep everything quiet for you. Like he was actually like asking me if he would ask me if I was gonna go teach. Yeah.
And what happened was that we finally realized like I can't break his spirit. This is what he is.
But that happened a long time ago. I was like, I just let people do them. You know what I mean?
So now it's like
yeah.
But
then after a while, he sees all, he living with him, he saw how much I was working, how much work I do to do stuff. He always respected that.
But he grew to respect it.
Right. You know what I mean? Because like my family never knew how much they didn't know I knew Kung Fu until I did Kung Fu. I never told them. And then one day my older saw all these weapons. She said, "Oh my goodness, this is so dangerous. What are you doing all this? What are you doing with all this weapons and knives and things?" She thought I was doing crimes or whatever, like dropping nobody with a butterfly knife, right? But everything, knowledge of everything, I had to go do it by myself. But everything was avant-garde. Everything I did was avant-garde, all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
So you had to go against the grain, basically.
Everything.
So with your brother was going a different direction?
Everything. Health, being vegan, drinking a kombucha, getting food from Chinatown is different. You know what I mean? Everything was whoa, what are you doing? Drinking chlorophyll drinks. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Everything was out the box. But it's different too because they see it though. Like this is like 20 years later, and now everything I was doing when nobody heard of it though, now it's like cool. Oh, people, white people have validated it for them. So now,
wow.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. White people have validated. Let's be honest. Like
in the beginning, when the martial arts first came out, it came in the neighborhood. We was in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
A certain white.
Saturday 3:00.
You know what I'm saying? No, you had all schools in our neighborhoods. You had a lot of schools. You had,
sure.
What?
The only reason they never let me do martial arts because mothers never want you to get hurt. So that's right. But they never had money for it because I'm a twin. So if you bought something for me, you had to buy it for him. So that's double the price, though.
Yeah.
You know, so technically I had really great sneakers if I didn't have a twin. But because I have a twin, though, Adidas become jocks. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh man.
and Tommy Can joints. You know what I mean? Like, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's how
Right?
that's the fun though.
Yeah, like you'd have like, you know, so like that's the way it goes. But you know, but so I had to do everything on my own and shit like that. You know, so it wasn't. I didn't see it as rebelling though. You know, I saw it as opportunities. You know? Yeah.
An opportunity to show and prove yourself.
Yeah.
The idea.
Like, learn the things that I think. Yeah, not you know, beholden.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Because you could feel that, dude. You could feel when you're not white, but people that everything has to be validated through white people. That shit bothered me all the time. That shit bothered me all the time. And what bothers you enough, though, then you say, well, what do we do? You know? Right? And then I'm in college, though, and I get radicalized. Like the professor I met that was Puerto Rican, that became my mentor, he radicalized me. And I couldn't use the excuse that he's just some dumb street urchin because he has a PhD and 7 master's degrees. So I was like, man, everybody's lying to me, you know? Right? Right? Then you know, oh, you know, the things you get told lies like, you know, we're a colony. We're not a colony of the U.S., but we're here. You know, we're American citizens, and we're not oppressed like black people. That's lies. Then you go and you read about Pedro Bizu Campos and the fight for national liberation, all of this, you know, the Ponce massacre. You know, things that Americans did, not even Spaniards. So then you're like, oh, they fucking lied to me. You know, and become radicalized very quickly. You know, but that's the journey though. But by the end of my father's life though, he certainly wasn't radicalized. You know, but he would have talks with me. Like I remember the last time he could actually walk, and I took him to the doctor. We walked back. Of course, he has to fail at the end and go get pizza, and asking me if I want pizza. And, there's nothing here that I'm gonna eat. You know what I mean? Right? And he goes, you know, I loved what you did with your health, you know, but it's too late for me. And of course, I don't see that. I don't bear witness to that. It's never too late, you know. Like the power of healing ourselves, even from stage 4 cancer, is really viable. Really viable, if your mindset is there, and you do the right things.
They don't see that.
No. So I can't even go. It's too late to go through that. You know. But he saw what I was. He saw what I was trying to do. That was a blessing. You know. He saw what I was doing.
No, that's a blessing when somebody who's
because
like that.
Most of the elders, when we talk to them, like they never got that kind of validation of any kind from their parent. They got kicked out and they were never heard from again. You know, never heard from again. Their family didn't give a fuck about them.
Yeah.
You know, the gods would talk about Allah the Father, but you never hear them tell stories about their dad, their mom. You know what I'm saying? Very
go around.
Yeah, very rarely. Very rarely.
Your family cooked the fork, so they didn't cook your side dish.
Yeah.
I don't have to cook it on. Wait, eat this food. Like, I don't want no fork.
Think about it. Some of these elders, like they're like 12, 13, getting kicked out of home because they won't eat pig.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, though. That's child abuse right there. Like, when we, you know.
Well, you know, you gotta think is at least in my situation, like I was took it in the freezer and was throwing it out. So it was like, you didn't buy that motherfucker.
Right.
That's your shit. Like,
Same,
out.
Yeah. No, we get kicked out because you.
Yeah, I got let back in, but it was still like, who you think you are?
Don't come here and take my dad.
And making that stand of righteousness though, sometimes doesn't look pretty, but it's important in your life. And I think that's the difference between makes a 5%er.
But then you also learn tact too.
Right, but we don't have it in the beginning though.
Yeah, you don't have tact.
Like mine was the
refinement.
Mine was Thanksgiving because I had just bought the Common's second album, and he had, you know, I used to love that album, Resurrection, and the Maintain song. And I never forget that. I love that. I love a lot of Common songs, but Maintain said, "What type of rebel eats pork?" And my oldest put the ham, and it's all the juices just going into everything else. And I'm like, I don't want to eat the pork. You know what I mean? I don't want to eat the pork anymore. It doesn't register that this is different shit. You know what I mean? So she's like, well, just take it off the plate. And I was like, nah, but you messed up the thing. Just take it off. I'm going to have to get a new plate. And he goes, no, you're not getting more food. Because, you know, like she spent all the time cooking and she just loaded my plate and ruined the whole thing, God. It was like juicing all over. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
So I got mad and I threw the plate over on the floor. I threw it off the
shit.
table. I threw it off the table. You know? And for the rest of her life, though, even though, right, Thanksgiving's Thursday, so I missed all of them after that. And I've been fasting since then. I never eat on Thanksgiving. I've never eaten a meal on Thanksgiving since then.
Shit, okay.
So since '94, because I didn't eat, because I threw everything on the floor. So that was the first fast. I never ate on Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? So I used to always say, you know, I'm sorry, I threw the plate on the floor. You know what I'm saying? And she used to just hit me and say, you stupid. You know, and do that shit. Because she understood what I was doing and shit like that. But I always just apologize for the tact. The lack of tact. You know what I mean? Because she cooked it. She did all that energy. She, you know, they spent all day cooking. You know?
So
really, the night before. Because they're preparing shit the
Yeah,
night before. You know? That's their biggest meal. Yo, in these times, the hardest thing to teach those a lot of times still ends up being pork. That's why it's such a crucial first step. You know? Like, I be collecting. I love to see interpretations of music, so I be collecting music, even Christmas music. I made a Christmas playlist and see how singers sing all of these same songs, right? And I get bored quickly because Christmas songs get tiring, right? But like Puerto Ricans have their own genre, a Christmas genre. So Jibaro music, folk music, they have their own type. It's called an aguinaldo. That's Christmas music. And if you listen to aguinaldos and stuff, they make songs just about pig. So there are salsa songs and aguinaldos and stuff because the two blend musically very well. There are songs that just called pork. Like there's songs called lechon that I have in my collection. I'm like, that song is just called lechon, pork. Like it's just called pork.
It's like Dominican.
They have songs called pork. Like Gran Combo has songs where they just sing about pork, like for the whole verse. Like they just, it's the only thing they're talking about.
God, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you got a catalog.
Yeah, I got songs called lechon. I'm like, and then I play it for everybody. I'm playing like the music, and when it goes, they know, and I'm like, no, I can't. Can't do it. Yeah.
When I told the Dominicans, they like, our pig, it's like your guy's turkey. It comes with every meal, every holiday. We have to have a pig.
Yeah.
We have to have a pig no matter what.
It's a part of the culture.
Yeah, it's part of our culture.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing to fight against, right?
Yeah. Because you don't see them do turkey. They don't do fucking turkey.
No,
They do
because I'm in the Heights. So you remember, what's that Spanish restaurant? Cuchipitos? So imagine a Cuchipito truck. You walk by, I see stacks of pork like this, and they'll sit down in the park, you know, on Amsterdam, by the pool.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be out there, and you walk by like, damn, how can you eat pork 90 degrees outside? Your pork is sitting in the truck in the mirror all day.
It's like, it's still the most important beginning aspect of a person because your body is what you run with, what you work with, what you think through, you know, and what affects you most immediately out of anything else. And if you're eating the swine, that means that what's happening in your body is still mystery. You're trying to get rid of the mystery, God, but your body is still a mystery. You don't know what the fuck is happening to your body, though, if you eat any type of pork. Like, you have no control of that shit. You can't say anything. Anything can happen. You know?
What's worse is that now this industry, if you don't go into your health, you don't know what you're eating. Right now, they take parts and make steaks out of it.
Yeah, there's something you got to
If you go to the restaurant, you don't know what you're getting.
That's true. You know, when I decided to go vegan, right, part of the reason was I felt no control over what makes me me.
Yeah.
And I said, let me get rid of all meat because it's the one food that I don't know exactly where it all comes from. You know? What they do to this, what they do. If it's salads and stuff, I know they can't manipulate things like that. I mean, this is obviously before GMO becomes a thing, you know? Like, because that's 90s, and I'm still able to buy stuff that is conventional, not organic, and yet still not GMO, you know what I mean? It hasn't caught its reign yet. But when I got rid of all meat, then I was like, you know what? Now the variables of what's affecting my body, I can control much stronger. So if I have control over the process, like what I'm reading off the back of the boxes and the bags, and then now I get rid of meat, now I know what's going on, you know? And when it came to that, my family wasn't too bad about me getting rid of all meat once I started it, though. You know? My mother would just be sarcastic, though. And then in the spot, in the plate where there would be meat, it would be a Tony Montana-sized, you know, Coke pile of white rice. So she, yeah, you know, and I was like, you know, the amount of white rice, she would do it so fucking sarcastically, and it would look like Tony Montana. It would look like I'm like this, okay, you know, like, it was ridiculous, though, you know? And then, but then, because I was so extreme, though, then it would bother them when I would go extreme. It's like, this rice is no good, it's gotta be brown rice, though. You know what I'm saying? No, these are the best vegetables, and all those are the lesser. Like, I had levels of vegetables, all of these kind of things, you know what I mean? Then I'm drinking the chlorophyll, vitamins, nutrients, you know? Because I'm like, yo, if we all people are out there experimenting with like all of these drugs, or they're experimenting with eating all these different foods and candies and all that kind of shit and treats, and I'm going to the health food store and I'm like trying to experiment with every single thing that's in there. You know? I'm like, yo, what does this vitamin do? But one thing, doing the martial arts so long, it was like maybe like, I'm gonna say like 10 years ago, where I quit taking days off because of injury. Because I realized that I'm always gonna be injured. You know what I'm saying? So instead of that, it's like the Jackie Chan model. I just try to figure out what works and work that way. You know? And then, because like Jackie Chan, if you ever noticed, I read his autobiography, he can't jump straight up in the air. That's how many injuries he's had. So he can't, because of the injuries in his feet, like he doesn't have spring straight up. So if you ever notice, he does a lot of side to side.
Yeah.
Jumps here, jumps there, jumps there. It's side to side shit. And I was like, man, he finds a way no matter what. It's what his body could do is how he'll fight, right? Because we don't have an option. If somebody wants to fight, they don't. Like, I'm not moving right now. I'm just really like really, because you ever late at night, you're like, yo, I hope this is not the time I want to fight. I'm done, like right now, right? That's when it happens. That's when shit happens. So you always try to figure out something to do, even when you're injured, or overcome it, though. You know. So everything, like lifting weights, like when you're lifting weights or doing calisthenics, so you might have your arms might be injured this way. Like I'll have injuries where like the shoulder will be messed up this way, so I do press this way. You know, I do the other way. You know, you do the way that works, and you just build up that. And then sometimes, most of the time, for me, I just disrespect the injury. So if the injury hurts this way, I'll do it that way. You know what I'm saying? Because I figure like if rehab, it's gonna just I'll just build it up, because I'm not gonna, because I had a shoulder injury, right? And I stopped doing shoulder stuff, and it never really healed, and I just quit. I quit waiting. I was like, you know what? The shoulder press hurts. I'm just gonna do shoulder press. I'm gonna do everything. So I either stay with the shoulder and always have a shoulder injury, or I'm just gonna keep doing it.
So once you started retraining it became better.
Yeah, you know.
Back and forth, yeah.
And oftentimes I feel injuries when I'm doing regular shit. So like when I'm with my daughters, though, that's when I feel injuries. You know, and I'm like, wow, that shit got hurt.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
when I did with my sequel, you're like, yo, his body's so calcified with all the broken bones.
Yeah.
You're like,
Walking hurts more than sprinting, jump rope, or anything like that. Walking, I feel more pain walking. You know? Yeah. It's crazy. But I'd rather have it like that.
yeah, but I'm saying, I'm still not fully healed yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so weird because it feels odd to have that pain in one particular spot.
Yeah.
And
No, but you could do a lot because it's the foot and it's not the leg though. You still could do isometric stuff.
Yeah.
So you could hold that leg out, kick that leg out, hold the leg. Like you could do a whole bunch of shit and build that muscle there. You know what I mean? You know.
No, but some like one night I hit it like 3 times back to back.
Damn.
So I'm trying to get to see. I'm banging my foot on somebody else. So that's why I really was really getting lazy. Yo, I don't want to hurt my foot, but I couldn't do it. I just had to do different things. I cannot sit here. I'm in, besides I'm in the house.
Yeah.
But the only thing, I live on the first floor. I just had a catheter. My prostate shrunk. So I'm like, okay, this is not bad. You know, and then I could walk outside with that. I was trapped on the first floor. I got 3 steps going in, downstairs, 3 steps outstairs, 3 steps coming back up in the apartment.
It's not bad, yeah. That's nice.
No, I said that's that. But it was still like, I became so lonely because nobody came to visit me. That's why right now I'm out. Like I've been inside so long.
You want to get out.
I get out. Yeah, in next year, you know, I'm trying to start a new path on my life, and I don't want to have start a new path on my life doing the same thing I did before. After work, I'll go home, sit, or Sunday when I'm not working, I'll stay in the house. But once I retire, I need that movement. I need to keep moving.
Yeah.
I do.
See, I have a different perspective because a lot of the stuff I do is inside. You know, so it's martial arts that gets me outside. You know, but like I don't really get tired or bored when I'm inside for long periods of time because I'm writing. I'm a writer. You end up writing more. You know, so I have this thing where like if I can't write anymore, then I start reading. And when I can't read anymore, it's because there's something to write, and it just keeps flip flopping and.
That's me with music, videos.
Yeah, like you just keep
Videos,
Yeah,
music.
so yeah, like if you keep it to that, you know, because that place is your lab and shit like that, you know, and you're on the first floor, right? I've never had a gym membership. Every place I've lived has become a home gym. I make home gyms everywhere. So like, I have weights, I have barbells, I have everything, benches, everything, and you're on the first floor means that you could even do calisthenics. And you could do jump rope and everything, you know?
I'm not disturbing anybody.
Yeah, you could do everything, you know?
Yeah, I live in a 33-story building, so I need to get back to it, but I just on the stairs.
What floor you live on?
Saying,
That's a nice.
yeah, 30 so from the first floor. I live on the 7th floor.
Oh.
So I go down, I walk down to the first and then sprint all the way up. I sprint all the way up to I get to 15, 16, and I'm out of breath.
That will do it.
I'm
Yeah.
out of breath, and then I'm slow, then I jog up,
Yeah.
the rest of the way.
Yeah,
And then when I come down, I'll do maybe every 10 flights, I'll do 20 push-ups.
Yeah, that'll do it. Though.
Yeah.
My niece live in the bridge apartments. You know the bridge apartments is always messed up. These guys.
Yeah.
I think that the older we get, we have to constantly adjust more, but we actually have to physically do shit more.
Yeah.
You know? We have to physically do shit more, you know? Like I have intense training sessions. I've only taken 1 day off the last 3 months. Only 1 day off though.
So you hold no rest period of working out?
Yeah, I take there's no day offs. No, none. And I only took it because I was with I was with her, we were having fun. And I said, listen, I'm gonna take a day off. Right? But I have to do a stretching session. And I do that because I very rarely stretch. Like all the shit I do, I very rarely stretch. I don't stretch. Like, I'm talking about like deep stretches. Like when people do deep stretch, I don't do deep stretching. I do a quick, just touch toes and flex everything out. But the stuff you see me do, I do very little stretching. You know?
Why's that though? You just don't...
It just became a habit. Yeah. And laziness towards stretching. You know?
I think stretching is important.
Yeah, no, it's stupid. No, it's that's why I said I got to do stretching.
Yeah,
And I told
stretching,
her,
right.
you know? Right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also, too, it's... For a person that learned late in life, because I was 25, I turned 25 the week I started training. And for my legs to move this good at 25 like that and kept it this way, I kind of just go with it. You know, I kind of go with it, you know? And when I was in my 20s though doing it, I could never stretch out where I could do a full split. So I said, it won't go. So, but the kicks go the way they go, you know? So with the limitations I have though, they always go to the full extreme, you know. So as good as I kicked in my 20s, though, I still get kicked like that. So that's why I end up stretching less, you know. I'm not advocating that. Definitely not advocating.
You're not advocating the,
You know. But what I'm saying is like sometimes you gotta disrespect your body, though. Disrespect your thoughts about it, all that kind of stuff, and just you know.
Disrespect your body, disrespect your thoughts.
Yeah, I disrespect my thoughts all the time because.
And that's just challenge yourself.
What gets you to write, what gets you to read a lot, what gets you to do all that, your mind will tell you stuff, and you'll convince yourself you did enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I wrote all these books, though. People haven't done what I did, so I could always say, you know, I did stuff people didn't do. But what it is, I just have a short memory. I have a short memory, and I just don't remember it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. You know, like the importance of see, like you got a catalog of your writings. That we need to have that, like our own archives, our libraries and whatnot.
Yeah.
Museums, really.
Yeah.
You know, I just think about what like Schoenberg did with his collection.
Yeah,
That's really impressive. Like, do something for us here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I
that
think
would
like
be
our writings are important. I love what you're doing with your writings, and just the way you view the literary world. It's people that have gotten away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All kind of
It's like right now, it's like this generation does not respect the elders, you know, or we don't respect the young generation, like. Because I think I speak about, that I'm not looking at the views for the artists, the young artists. You know, I'm looking for my view towards their music. So now it's like, I have to come back and like, okay, become the one that everybody has an opinion, everybody has a sound.
You know what's interesting though is that when they're young artists that do things really great, like integrity wise and the ethos that we think hip hop should be done and stuff like that, I find it more amazing though, because the ethos was all around us though, and the more majority, like you know,
right,
right.
Yeah, they got.
But when they do it, I'm like, man, you dug to find the ethos and stuff, and I find that really dope. I really do. You know what I mean? So like if a young kid is rhyming like that and they're in their 30s though, they're actually past the age of dealing with this the right way. You know? Because we're actually the generation that fucked it up. Like everybody in their 40s. Everybody in their 40s. Because it was in the 2000s. That's why I call 2000 the dark ages though. Because that was when it was okay to make bullshit records. You know, when it became an excuse to say, listen, I gotta eat, so I gotta make these kind of records that sell, and we accepted that. That's cool. Like if somebody says, listen, I made these records that are bullshit, but this is how I eat, I accept that as you. But I don't write about you. I write about this music, and this music you made sucks. You know what I mean? Right? The music you made sucks, and it helped you eat, but if it actually helps other people not eat. By lowering the standard, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I can't say that it's dope music because you ate and it's real because you were able to eat with that. That false equalization was what writers were wanting you, editors and stuff were wanting you to do in the 2000s, which is when we grew up from the 80s into the 90s to the 2000s, being the ones to write about it and doing shit, and we kind of fucked it up.
What do you think about what should they doing to Puppy?
The what?
All the accusation they throwing at Puppy right now.
I'm not following it like that, but he did so much devilishment. It's like whatever.
Was
So look,
Puppy.
yeah, he did so much devilishment that like if you were in the industry that long, you're like, yeah,
but it's all because Charles Weissman said that when you get that much money, you're not the same. You're not the same $100,000.
No. I find that a bad excuse though. No one's ever the same when they achieve anything. You know what I'm saying? No one's the same when they achieve anything. But they could be more the same, more good, more bad, whatever. But Puppy was a dick from the beginning. And he was exploiting people from day -1,000. That's his history there. The college he went to, I forgot what college he went to, right? It was a black college, right? It was one of the black colleges. and they had an uprising, a student uprising, and they said that in one article said that this is where he really became him because instead of being part of the uprising, he took pictures and made T-shirts and sold merch. You
Oh,
see, some people are a piece of shit from the fucking beginning.
Because you
know?
yeah,
And they used his genius was using all of the templates and exploiting all of the templates amazingly, you know? Because the Mary J. Blige, all that kind of stuff, those aren't really his templates, you know what I mean? Biggie's not his template. That's a hardcore Heavy D. These are templates he saw already. And because he's coming out of, what's his name, that he interned with. That was doing Heavy D, Harrell, Andre Harrell. He's the one that did Heavy D, right? Fat rapper that's smooth with the ladies, right? That's a major component of Biggie, right?
Yeah.
But if you made it more dirty, more grimy, it becomes more authentic. He made up the pop A side, hardcore B side. Stretch and Bobbito would get the hardcore song, Machine Gun Funk, right? Juicy would be on the radio. That was never done before. This type of song like that was not done before. There's no cassette single you see like that. You see that a single like that, a 12-inch like that in other music, not in
hip hop.
Not in hip hop. You know what I mean?
The double album.
So this is what he was doing, but he was already abusing. Like Mary J. Blige though, right? That's a classic record, her second album. Everybody loves it. I love it. You know what I'm saying? But I liked it at the same time and was telling everybody like a crazy man. In 1984 I was doing this and saying this is ruining hip hop. And
Well, Mary was ruining hip hop?
Yeah, I was like, Mary's part of ruining hip hop. And
shit.
I never said this around girls because girls hated this though. They would not talk to me if I said Mary was fucking up hip hop. Right? But I was saying, if you're able to take pop easy samples and just rhyme over them looped like that, Barry White and all that, right? Because My Life is not a dig record. It's the opposite of a dig record. Like if you don't identify the sample, that's the problem. You know what I mean? Right? If you don't know it's Barry and Roy Ayers and shit, then So I was saying that this was messing it up, just like I was saying with the Biggie. That's not that formula is going to ruin hip hop, right? None of this went well in Brooklyn,
Of course not.
Yeah,
Of course not.
But at 19, I'm 20 years old, and I'm like, why? Why don't you get it? I'm 19 saying this shit. 18.
I saw a D-Dot interview, and he was talking about like the purists and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yo, you didn't chop up the samples. He's like, yo, look, we made it the path of least resistance. Now I get it, but just looking at it. Now, coming back to our point that we build on in terms of capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Capitalism is what brought him, is what built him up. But capitalism is the same reason why he's getting pulled down now.
Right.
Capitalism is coming to swallow him up.
Yeah.
The very same reason.
Which rarely happens, by the way.
Yeah,
that don't happen all the time.
That's crazy.
What do y'all notice about what is hip hop? I was listening to Dr. Umar.
Johnson.
Yeah. He's like, he was knocking down hip hop. He's like, hip hop is 50 years old. They never did anything positive. All these rappers are just,
I somewhat agree with.
There's no hospitals. There's no schools. There's nothing that this genre has done. But I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, this was given to the babies discovered it and kept it. Everybody was young. I came into business. Nobody really knew. Everybody had an idea.
Yeah.
But then to get hip hop back then, it was always controlled by you got to go to different neighborhoods. It was not like one big thing. Like when you come out with 2 people from the neighborhood. You come with 2 people from the neighborhood. So we thought you put a show.
I almost never agree with Umar, but and I don't agree with that only because it sounds good. It sounds good, right? And we didn't get this and we didn't get that. But if you look at the history of black genres, though, hip hop has way more than the other genres do. It still has a lifestyle that some can adhere to in making it, which is not available in all the others. Jazz is the only thing closest to that has an actual culture. But the culture is so commodified that the realist versions, you have to go through the channels of education, higher education to get it. Look at the sister from the Bronx, right? That won the Grammy, Samara Joy, right? She's like 24, right? She's a beautiful singer, right? Very Sarah Vaughan-ish though, if you know your jazz, right? And she won 2 Grammys. She won 2 Grammys, right? Best New Artist, and then she won for the album, the jazz album. She's really dope, great jazz, right? And but she got found in college though, and was part of the Ella Fitzgerald like program. In other words, it's not something that they learned, and she didn't learn this in the Bronx. It's her family upbringing that was particular to that got her into things to get into that, and we're able to utilize that impeccable voice.
Yeah.
Because the register she has is crazy if you hear it, right? It's just crazy, right? That's why I said it's like Sarah Vaughan, and but hip hop is something that it's still like a kid thing, you know. Kids would do it all fucked up by our standards though, but in class though they'll fucking rap. That means it's still a thing that you could do, you know, right? We go, that's not fucking b-boying and shit like that. But in many ways, though, how the kids supposed to b-boy off bat the way that they do now? The best b-boying is Jackie Chan movies. Like, the best b-boying is so athletic, it's abnormal. Have you seen some, right? The shit that they do now? That's not what a little kid is gonna do. The fact that we even copied like Crazy Legs, who made up the windmill and shit like that, like the fact that we copied shit like that was a big deal. But you know,
It's a different era right now.
what I'm saying is that kids still dance though, and standards of dance still exist within certain ciphers. So, you know, like it's still there.
But we may not understand.
So it's still something versus what soul music do you see? People don't. They're not singing doo-wop in the street anymore. They don't sing soul.
That really quick, because I had this discussion about Andre 3000 record. Like, do you think that that's hip hop?
I have a lot of beef with that.
You have a lot of beef?
No,
You have a lot
not
of
the
beef with
record. I don't consider the record hip hop. Obviously, his whole reality.
It's
I
on
disagree
reality.
with it.
Okay. Well, you know, it's funny because brother was on the post and he was saying that the album made him motivated him to want to do katas and martial arts and wanted him to.
Yeah.
I know why though, because that his music is not really. It's not of any genre though. He made a lot of ambiance music that is used for meditation.
But okay. How I because
Like he made it like he invented meditation music.
No, he didn't. However,
He copied a genre and he sold it to people that don't listen to that.
But I look at, because you say hip hop is rebellious.
Yeah.
I look at that as his rebellion against what is.
In that case, I do feel it's rebellious though.
Yeah.
Now I took issue. There's 2 things I take issue with. Well, no, a million things. But the first thing is that.
A million things. Wow.
I think when he said in the GQ interview that he's not rapping anymore because he's too old to do it, and what am I supposed to rhyme about? My colonoscopy.
Yeah.
By saying that joke, you're basically saying, not you, you're saying everybody that's older. And here I am, though, seeing myself as thing. It's like, he's 47, and he made a fucking flute album. I'm 47 and made my first hip-hop album. You know what I'm saying? So he went that way, and I went this way.
Yeah.
And so you can't tell me that this way is not possible, because I'm here doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I didn't just say battle raps. I didn't say,
Nas
hey.
is what, 50 something?
Yeah,
right?
I didn't make songs about like my clothes and shit like that and things like that, right? I made actual songs, like they're about shit. You know what I mean? And so I just didn't like that he did that. And some of the greatest MCs now are that age.
Yeah.
You know, the dominant forces are that age now. So it's
Yeah,
not
because
like that.
That's what I said. Like Nas did three.
Yeah,
Did 3
but
albums.
Nas, they looked at Nas like an anomaly on the internet. Like it's either Nas or Andre, and it's not. Nas is not an anomaly. He's one of the many people that old. Chuck D released the album this year, and people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It was the theme was baseball, so he made a dope album based on baseball themes, and he still rhymes dope, and his shit still sounds hard, and his voice is still.
I see the ride.
Yeah.
I see him in Green Park in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but he's performing like that now. His voice and his stamina is still great. KRS One still makes albums. I think he made one last year, right? Streetlight. He made one last year. And that's just for many.
It's just not covered mainstream.
Right. It's
That's
not.
it.
Because right now it seems like the worst stuff is being pushed.
Of course, yeah.
The
But
worst
my
rap,
problem
that's
though
a fact.
is that he used the media that wouldn't know about music to tell everybody about hip hop. He used GQ. He didn't go to no place that might know about hip hop. I don't have confidence that hip hop magazines know about hip hop. He didn't dare to go to a hip hop magazine and tell him that shit about rhyming and have to justify that he don't want to rhyme. All he had to say was that I don't feel I have anything left to say in that forum, and that's perfect with me, and that's fine.
So
But the way he dissed the idea of being old and rhyming is whack, because my brother who likes rock music is like, check out the new Rolling Stones album. They're in their 70s, and I have to hear a new Rolling Stone album, which sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
And they're in their 70s, and they're doing music that I would think white people would get hurt singing in the 70s, you know, right? Like, or that they could mess up their ears playing rock. But they're doing hard rock. It wasn't soft. It wasn't like they were less. It's Rolling Stones music, and they're in their 70s. So like, what he was saying was like really ageist. But my other thing is like the way the media projects, and fans too, that he's some arts, and you can't, and he's ahead of the game. That's why you don't understand. He's ahead
Yeah, that's why he calls
of
it
the thing, which is
2000.
bullshit. Because as an artist myself, I went a new road. So I know that it's not a high and mighty road when you do something different. It's a difficult road. And instead of being honest and saying, I just want to do something different, and I'm a total rookie with this, and I don't know how good it is, we'll see. And the way he's looked on as like a legend with no fall, his career is not like that. It's a lie that his career is like that. His career is indispensable, undisputed classics of classics, and then sell out shit. Okay? It's not, I hit the mountaintop, Illmatic level, right? Because his Outkast albums are up there with the Illmatics and all that kind of shit,
No, I
right?
think they-
They're that level.
best
I think
rappers.
they're that great. That's right. But then he did Hey Ya, and he did Coonery, and he dressed up as a Native American doing buffoonery on American Music Awards. Look that shit up. They made a whole teepee on the stage though, and he's going here, all that kind of shit. So it's like if we talked about CeeLo and we just said soul food. Nah. You was wearing a dress and acting like a damn fool. Do your whole arc. Do the whole arc though, because that's why you're not rapping anymore. Because you did great music, you did sellout music, and you did every angle you could do. And the truth is that people are writing about it this way because he's not doing rap. But the truth is that they're not expecting aliens. They're expecting some buffoonery, hey ya shit, and you can't deliver that. Now he's some bohemian that is all wise and righteous though, when it's like most of the money that you got from hip hop was from the bullshit that you made and not aliens. You didn't get that money that you got from aliens. You got it from Hey Ya and the stupid singing shit that you did.
And you put a soul.
The pre-Drake work that you did on Love Below. That's what you got the money on. So all that high and mighty shit though, tell the whole story of the artist. That's my issue, God. You know? And like I said, I'm a historian though, and I give you the whole history. They didn't give me shit like his career ended in Aquemini. You know?
Is it hip hop though?
Yeah.
Because
None of Love Below is not a hip hop record. Hey Ya was not a hip hop record. That was a fucking sellout record.
Yeah, that's
And
an R&B record.
I don't want anybody
Well,
to tell me
it's-
anything about that shit.
I'm actually is Outkast in general hip hop because that was a discussion I had
Yes,
with
absolutely.
Be original.
Yeah, Big
No,
Boy.
yeah.
He says that they're not hip hop.
No. You know what's funny? You know what's funny is that a lot of people, because I argue with Be Original, and of course I'm not allowed to, because for some reason I wasn't there, and I wasn't sucking at Melly Mel's teeth, and so I can't say anything about hip hop. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, because that's the only way he validates shit, and a lot of people validate shit.
I
You know, it's true, you know? It doesn't matter that I have all these years in it. It doesn't matter that the people he's talking about, I talk to. You know what I'm saying? He goes, well, you weren't there when Kool Herc was doing it, though. But I had conversations with him.
Right.
You know? You didn't, though.
See,
But apparently you were there going, hey, go hip hop somewhere in
No.
1972, you know, or whatever, right? But Outkast Records is some of the best rapping you hear, the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
They're on par with anything you get. And the musically, come on, as far as sample game mixed with live music in it, what are you getting that's like Atlians? Nothing still sounds like that. There are records on it, Elevators. What sounds like that? How original is that even after all this time, we don't hear things like that?
Yeah, but
Even other classics of classics, right? Like Illmatic or Hell on Earth, right? There's a lot of music that was able to sound like that. The classics of Gangstar became a blueprint where everybody makes like that. They can remake that. Outkast made albums that you can't really emulate, or nobody tried.
Nobody
One or
tried.
the other, right? So they are hip hop. They was rapping. Dre has great raps, you know. So like,
different people have different
Yeah.
criteria for what is hip hop.
yeah. But
I'm
see,
saying.
a lot of their criteria is you sample too much Parliament. You sample too much Funkadelic though. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it goes into the groove too
You
long.
made money.
Yeah, not like the way we like it. You know, that's really the excuse that I hear with all this shit. You know? But honestly though, if you don't know Outkast Records though, and you didn't listen to them, and you don't really know them, you can't really talk about that. But I'm talking about Andre's Arc. He did a lot of crossover material, which
Yeah,
I
he did.
consider sellout material.
He did.
So all of the wealth that he has though from hip hop, because he may have done other great things and made money there, but from hip hop music, a lot of the wealth we're talking about is not from the songs that we laud as classics. They're from the jingles that you made.
Yeah.
Hey, you know.
Yeah, I just seen a joint.
You know, so like they make like their mountaintop, they know music, I understand, I'm holy, and when I made the flute album, I levitated as I made it, I was in a creek. Come on, man. And it's almost like our people that only know hip hop, they'll say, that's an instrument, I don't know about that instrument, so he must know what he's doing with it, and we have to adjust and be an open mind. And I'm like, first of all, maybe you, not me. Because Caribbean music is filled with flutes. And in ambiance music, like meditation music he made, I still bug out that he got overpowered by ambiance music. Background creaks flowing were louder than his flute playing. Listen to it.
I didn't even hear it.
He could barely overcome that. And I'm like, you know, there's whole genres based on flutes in Latin music,
Yeah.
right? Because when you listen to son, their variants like charanga. Charanga is based on violins and flutes as the main music. And Johnny Pacheco, who founded Fania, which is like the bulk of classic salsa in the 70s, the label that was like the Def Jam of salsa. He started that label. And a lot of his records, he was ditching the violins and just rocking the flute. Salsa has like 3+ percussion instruments, and his flute was overbearing everything. You know? And I saw Pacheco live too. You hear the flute. It isn't soft, it's articulated, it's deep, so it's almost like they were acting like the flute is a limited instrument, so whatever we get out of him, it's going to be spiritual. It's people's cliches and stereotypes that are about the music and not really about knowing anything about music, you know? And then it's his imagery that people have of like, you can't criticize an artist because they've ascended to another level of understanding. And that's a lot of bullshit. We're regular people expressing ourselves. That's it.
Yeah, because I like what? Because Erica Badu got on him.
She got on him, boy?
Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing, but she's like, she like that, like, yo, this is phony. You know, she gave that look like, you know how you put it like, you catch your eye? Well, she was right, though.
Jay,
Yeah.
hating on you, man?
No, because he got flack too, because he just said, it came out, he just said, I don't know if it's different, it's different white man, so he's only let white people in major media interview him, and he was saying that he didn't celebrate the Hip Hop 50 because he doesn't like to look back, you know? And it was like,
See, you get a little, you're being a little too eccentric now.
because now you're sounding stupid because you're saying it's not about you. Neither is the Hip Hop 50 celebration.
Yeah.
If we celebrate Hip Hop 50, it's not about us. It's thankful that people even continue to get together and do something that nobody wanted you to do. That's why we have hip hop, because they kept getting together and do something that nobody wanted them to do. You know, that's why I laugh when people say like, "Oh, Puerto Ricans aren't part of hip hop." We know that's all bullshit, but they tell us that your parents didn't like you doing hip hop. Yours either. Yours either. I don't know a black. And when I was a kid, I don't know a black mama that wanted their kids to do hip hop.
No. No. And besides that, and also like this, like.
That wasn't just our mothers though. Your mom didn't want you doing that shit either.
No, but if you look at all the regular hip hoppers, how they got their albums out, they made a tape, send it into different music places.
Yeah.
It was like now you had to really work to get this up, to do hip hop.
Yeah.
You couldn't just sit there. No, you had to work. You had to get out there. You had to get your name out.
You had to go out there. You had to push your way through. Yeah.
It was like
yeah.
It was before. It was like you had 10 people that could do this.
Yeah.
Now you got
Everybody.
a million people that could do this.
And you know, like if somebody's older, like our age, like he is, we take it more hard because it's like you're not like 23 anymore, where we're giving you a pass that you're inarticulate in interviews and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like that was really insensitive. Hip Hop 50 wasn't about you looking back. It was about them. But some of that, I'm not going to give it all to him. Some of that is because Hip Hop 50 wasn't really celebrating hip hop.
No,
it was a way for artists to reintroduce themselves. Hip Hop 50 was bullshit. The minute I saw Ja Rule have a concert series, and I have to see you come back, like these are the songs. Like we get to see you on stage. You're celebrating Hip Hop 50.
Yeah, it's also like it was so many white people,
right?
It was so many Europeans. We have so many Europeans put out there like, oh, this dude. I mean, like
we have to introduce ourselves to artists that were popular and no longer popular. That's not what Hip Hop 50 was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying?
If Mecca did this.